Cookie. Ooh, cookie.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, June 28th, 2018. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1046.
This is No Agenda.
Borders, babies, baboons, and broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in downtown Austin, Tejas, in the Cludio. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, hey, ho, ho, Germany has got to go, and they did. No Brexit showdown for you. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning. I know the world has changed. They can't even fix a match properly anymore. Against,
well, they have kind of a mini showdown coming.
Yes. Well, we have England versus Belgium. Belgium could win.
Yeah, but it's Group G. Who cares if they win? I think South Korea is going all the way.
You know, politically, which is how we view these things, that would be a really good one. I totally agree. And for them to crush the Germans.
Oh, yeah. Well, they didn't crush them. They beat them 1-0, and then they got an extra goal at the end.
Yeah. 1-0. I love that you're already into the into the vocabulary of the footballs.
Yeah, there's nothing like a good 0-0 game to get my blood boiling.
Well, if it indeed is them, who are they going to play against?
You'd
South
have to look
Korea.
at the groupings and figure it out.
Well, I mean, what do you mean? I mean, some groupings can never play against each other. Is that what you're saying?
No. There's like there are some.
There's winners from each group. Yeah, I understand how it works.
Yeah, they're going to end up playing at the end, and sometimes they're going to end up playing before the end. And then, since it's a knockout round, they'll take the guy out, and they will play. There's some matches that cannot be in the finals.
Maybe we just throw Mexico in there. Just do South Korea, Mexico.
Mexico lost.
Oh. Who'd they play against?
The Swedes beat them.
Oh, that's right.
But Mexico's back in it, supposedly, because Korea won. I don't even know how this works.
What's your bracket
look like? Why don't we just watch cricket and try to figure that
out? Tea time. Everybody stop. Oh, I want to commend you, actually, as we get started here with the best podcast in the universe. You're welcome. It's been the past 2 episodes. And some people who listen to the show on the podcast only may not realize we do the show live. We do it live Thursday and Sundays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And we have a pre-stream show. And, we're just kind of getting everything ready. And we're just dicking around, getting the troll room set up, get the stream going. And as long as I've known you, you've always played your instruments during this pre-stream. And I think recorder is now your instrument of choice. You're very good.
The recorder, because I'm getting so good at the recorder.
I must say, last show I went to make some toast, which you for some reason found odd and bizarre, and you did the toast song.
Yeah, I did.
And luckily, someone recorded the stream, and I'd like to share it with everyone now.
John's going to be performing.
I don't know how anyone plays this thing. This is a recorder.
Oh.
If you blow harder, it changes the note. I don't know how anyone plays this thing. I got to get a little book on it.
They're even complimenting your recorder playing today. Dvorak.org/NA. That hurts.
Somebody's going to say, this guy's an idiot.
Sorry, couldn't resist.
Yeah, well, there you have it.
So well, and I love how you make the recorder sound like a pan flute. It's fantastic.
It's outstanding.
So good at that.
Well, that's what you can do. That's what makes the instrument so special.
It really is. It is the Swiss Army knife of wind instruments.
Yep.
All right, did anything happen? Oh, yeah. That's right. If you and I were sitting down and writing the great script of America in 2018, I don't think we could have come up with better timing for the news cycle, for the hatred, for the insanity, than to have a Supreme Court justice announce his retirement at this very moment in all these cycles. which leads me to believe it was set up that way. It was beautiful. I mean, all of a sudden, kids in cages, who cares? We don't care about that.
Well, the funny thing is, it was kind of set up that way, according to the best report. And I do have a couple of clips of this from the BBC.
I would expect that. Yeah.
But before we play that, so we know what the dimensions of this Kennedy was a conservative, quitting the Supreme Court.
How old is he? He's not even that old, is he?
Nah, he just got sick of it. He's been in there forever. He's the last.
30 years. 30 years he's been doing that. He just got sick of it just now. Perfect timing to get sick of it.
Well, he knew that this was the time to do it because he was actually, if you listen to this, against Jonathan Turley on the BBC, which I'll play the clip in a second. But first I have to read a tweet from Matthew Kay. Literally in tears. Haven't felt this hopeless in a long time. With Justice Kennedy leaving, we now have two options as Americans. Get fitted for your Nazi uniform or report directly to your death camp. How do you fight the darkness without light? My spark is going out. Hashtag SCOTUS.
Oh, wow.
Meanwhile, a joker named Stefan, or New Jersey boy, made a comment in a reply saying, I don't want to upset you anymore, but there's no Wi-Fi at the death camps.
Oh, no. Yeah, that was a good one. It was really quite fun. And what's interesting is we went from save the children, save the children, save the children to, oh, no, he's going to get rid of Roe versus Wade. Yeah. We can't kill the children. It hurts my brain a little bit. I was like, how am I supposed to understand this?
Well, as someone pointed out, I don't think it was Jonathan Turley, maybe, is that there's no way they're not going to put a justice in that's going to get rid of Roe versus Wade. Because
also, it's not as simple as 1, 2, 3. We just decided. I mean,
I know that these people are nuts. But let's listen to the breakdown. This is Justice Kennedy 1 on the BBC.
Changes on the court. It is very difficult to overstate this. The president does not have to make much of a change to the right from Kennedy to have really cascading changes across a dozen areas of law. Kennedy has an immense legacy, but it's also perhaps the most vulnerable legacy on the court. Most of his cases hang in a 5-4 vote, and he's the fifth vote. So anyone who is to the right of him could make really transformative change.
So what sort of issues could be affected by this?
Well, first of all, Kennedy was a reliable conservative who voted with the right of the court, except for areas of individual rights, excluding criminal law. When it came to gay rights, same-sex marriage, privacy, he would often speak in a different voice. I think he found his voice on those issues. It would be profoundly personal and passionate. The writing was quite different from his other decisions. It resonated with him, and that's what made him a critical bridge figure. He has a conservative philosophy, but he showed that you can have that philosophy and still defend individual rights. And that's, I think, going to be his most lasting legacy, is not just his vote, but his voice.
Who was this guy talking?
Jonathan Turley, you can look him up. He is a libertarian, a professor, and he's a very good commentator. Okay. And that was just the intro, but he actually gets pretty good. These clips aren't that long. I got a few of them. Probably this is only 39 seconds, but he does the last clip, which is the fourth clip. He brings something out that I thought this was, who cares? Okay, you're going to get another conservative in replacing a conservative. But this guy makes a very interesting point as he builds up to it. So let's go to clip 2.
What do you think of the timing of his retirement coming in an election year?
It could not be worse. I mean, the timing for Democrats. truly could not be worse. They risk the potential of being largely pedestrian in this entire confirmation fight. The Republicans got rid of the filibuster rule when they had the Gorsuch nomination. That means that this is set up for a straight muscle vote. Some of those Democrats may have difficulty voting against a nominee. They've got Democrats in states like Missouri, West Virginia, where President Trump is very popular. So it truly could not be worse for the Democrats. But
now, if I understand correctly, the way it works, and we've been through this just recently, so I think my memory's pretty good. The Senate confirms a nomination pick. The president picks his nominee. And because of a change in the Senate rules, which was that Obamacare when that took place?
It was something Harry Reid did.
Yeah, and is that the it's not the nuclear option? Maybe it is. What is that? What you call?
It's kind of, but it's specific. It's targeted. It's not like it's still in play for most things, but it's targeted for certain things. You don't need the 60 vote majority to pass something, and the Republicans switched it to that for the Gorsuch nomination, and they just pushed him through, and they're going to do it again, and that's why Kennedy quit. Don't make any, you can hear a lot of different analysis.
What do you mean? That's why he quit? What do you mean?
Well, as you'll hear, I didn't know this, but Turley brings out, I think in the next clip, it kind of explains it, then I'll explain why Kennedy quit.
Moreover, of all the things you could say about President Trump, the one thing you cannot say is that he doesn't keep his promises. More than any president I know of, certainly in my lifetime, he's kept his promises. You might not like them, but this was the biggest of the promises. He would repeat this continually, that he would move that court to the right, and everyone knew he was talking about Kennedy's seat.
Kennedy was expected to quit at some point, and this was his most opportune moment because right now the Republicans are in charge of everything. After the next elections, they won't be.
Who knows? Right, exactly.
Or they might be. I mean, they still might be. You don't know because the Democrats, and I believe there's some very nasty advertising that's beginning right now that's targeting the Democrats.
Oh, really?
And it's really something.
Like what?
Well, the one that was just released by I don't have a clip of it because it's almost
you mean the video as a very visual thing. It doesn't make sense to clip it. I personally thought it wasn't all that great. When I see a limousine burning, I'm also like, yeah, screw them, burn the limos.
The limo burning is the only thing that's probably.
They should have taken that out. I think that was a mistake. That should have been taken out. It gave me pause. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, but still, they should have had a cop car burning.
Yeah, something like that.
But and then there's a QAnon thing that's floating around, and there's some other stuff that's very strangely done. I think I'm starting to think QAnon is as a Roger Stone operation.
Well, it's a psyop for sure. We're just not sure exactly who's running it.
But if you listen to the video, they just came out with a video that's pretty extreme. I think they're finally. They've built up enough material, or the Democrats have given them enough material that they've collected. And Maxine Waters is, of course, the key to this because she's an idiot. And they're just going to use her and some of these other guys to scare the public.
Well,
back to Kennedy. Kennedy was going to retire anyway, so he retired at this moment, knowing the situation in Congress, meaning they can push through a nominee that out of the Trump list, still using that same list, and it won't be a problem, except for they won't be able to put a Roe versus Wade candidate through that's against it because of the two women Republicans will not approve it, and they're on thin ice. They got 50 votes and they can pass, but every Republican has to be on board.
But undeniably, what happened immediately is, so he announces, I'm sure they were waiting for it because this came out so quickly. Within seconds, it's, there you go. We're going to lose Roe v. Wade. Roe's toast. It's all gone. That's their new talking point, which was really good because it overtook the news cycle, which was getting very tedious and very annoying, although we will revisit it today, of the kids in cages. After you play your fourth clip, I have a couple of things to share regarding the Roe v. Wade.
Right, but I do want to reiterate the fact that even the smart Republicans know that they're not going to get that kind of a guy through with the two women. Because they're not going for it. And
also, I don't think it's what the majority of the country wants.
No, I don't think anybody cares as much as the Democrats do.
Yeah, they seem to care the most.
This last clip is very interesting, and I want to discuss it a little bit before you go into your spiel.
What do you think Justice Kennedy's legacy will be?
There's no question that the capstone of his legacy is gay rights and same-sex marriage. Since the 1970s, he tried to develop what he called the right to dignity under the Constitution. He wrote some of his most beautiful prose about this right to dignity that he saw. And I think that will be his lasting legacy. The question is whether that will be the legacy of the court. It'll take very little to change that. And I expect the right to dignity may be the first casualty of the post-Kennedy era.
The right to dignity.
I found that fascinating because apparently, and why I find it fascinating is not just the idea of the right to dignity, which is like privacy.
It's not. Privacy is privacy. It is. Dignity is different than privacy.
I didn't say it was the same. I said it's like.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's kind of humiliating to have your privacy violated, which means your dignity is violated. There's a connection, but the point I think
isn't dignity your feelings?
No, I don't think so.
My feelings were hurt. My dignity was hurt. No. Okay.
No, your feelings and your dignity aren't the same. You can be silent and you don't have your feelings hurt. I mean, it's like being strip searched. Does that hurt your feelings?
Yeah.
Or does that kind of offend your dignity?
Well, I'll look up the official Merriam-Webster definition. Dignity, the quality or state of being worthy, honored, or esteemed.
Got nothing to do with feelings.
You're right. When you're right, you're right. Okay. So the right to dignity. I didn't know this is in the Constitution. You have the right to dignity?
No, well, there's a lot of stuff not in the Constitution, but it's like something that was derived from
the Federalist Papers, no doubt.
Well, I'm sure, but I think the Fourth Amendment is a right to dignity thing. And it's got nothing to do with your feelings. If somebody busting into your house or telling you to stay in place or shelter in place, it doesn't hurt your feelings.
Okay,
but
I got you. I agree. It's not about feelings. Move on. Move past that.
Okay, well, I'm going to move on to the real point, which has got nothing to do with the definition. Isn't that kind of a conservative value in general? Or shouldn't it be?
I think it's just a human value, personally.
Don't you think? Well, don't you think with privacy, dignity, all these sorts of things, the right to, to Fourth Amendment rights, Second Amendment, First Amendment rights, all these rights, aren't they all kind of conservative values? Old constitutional. We're constitutionalists.
The constitutional values.
Why is this one guy out of all the 5 conservatives? He was one of them. He's the only guy that feels this way? Is that what they're telling us?
Sounds like it.
I think it's true. I don't know what's wrong with these other people. Well, and I'll say this, by the way, Scalia, who was all this big bastion of all this so-called conservative stuff, you should go back and listen, or anybody out there should go back and listen to his commentary about torture. It's unbelievable. He thinks it's fabulous. He's like pro-torture because somebody says it's cruel and unusual punishment, and he says, "How is torture punishment?" He makes this argument.
Right. Well, regarding the Fourth and regarding dignity, the Supreme Court made a lot of decisions about that related to TSA, and that just kept on going through, which is a total disrespect for your dignity.
I agree. But I just now I look at it, and so everyone's all freaked out, of course. And the only people that are really freaked out are gay. That guy who wrote that little commentary that I read on, he's obviously gay because he's going on about his interiors. We're all going to be sent to death camps. He's talking about the gay community because the only guy who stood up for the gays on the conservative side was Kennedy.
Ah, okay. Now it starts to come into play. I understand. Okay. Now I see the vision. Well, yes, that kind of extreme fear is probably coming from that community. But everyone's freaked out about this. Everyone on the left, certainly. And everyone...
The guy's a conservative. I do not get this freak out. I guess Roe versus Wade on the one hand, as you pointed out, and then the gays.
No, it's
on
John.
The other
No,
hand.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. No, it has nothing to do with that. It's just the next talking point. It's just the next cycle. Because for sure, you can get women who voted for Trump to get riled up about this. For sure. Like, he better not be doing that because I'm with Trump on a lot of stuff, but but that.
It is definitely the talking point. But they're going to ram some guy through, hopefully, or a woman maybe. And although I don't think so. And then I think before the 2018 election, no, not 2018, but 2020 elections, 2 more years, I don't see Ruth Bader Ginsburg staying.
Apparently, she has pneumonia. I heard from someone today. She may leave sooner than we think.
It wouldn't surprise me if she died tomorrow.
Could you? Okay, we don't.
I'm not wishing it on her.
We're not wishing that. We're not. Well, she's up there. I mean, she seems pretty spry. Her health seems okay.
Oh, she seems like she's sleeping all the time. She falls asleep at the drop of a hat.
Okay,
I mean, she doesn't look well.
There's the sleep. There's the sleeping thing. Well, yeah, they should be huddling around her and protecting her if anyone's worried about the composition of the court.
Yes, and that will be the that's when you should start to worry.
Yeah,
and that's going to happen.
Well, it's inevitable. No one lives forever. I do have 2 interesting clips from when this was announced, and one is one of our producers who wishes to remain anonymous. I believe he works on Capitol Hill, and he says, "I received a voicemail. Then the voicemail automatically connected him to." This announcement, and I'm pretty sure this is Republicans talking about the strategy for getting the new Supreme Court justice. It's not like really mind-boggling information, but it's kind of cool because it's not something all the other announcements were public on television, and this is something that you didn't see.
Please hold while we connect you to your Access Live event. This Access Live event is currently in progress. Please note that this call may be monitored, recorded, or rebroadcast.
Supreme Court of the United States, and I wish him well in his retirement. As far as what comes next, I think we can anticipate that the White House will act fairly quickly. It's the president's prerogative to nominate someone to fill that vacancy. I predict this will happen probably sometime in the next few weeks. I would say almost certainly during the month of July. If it happens, then there will be a process, a confirmation process that will go on in the United States Senate. The Senate Judiciary Committee, after it receives all the relevant background information on the individual and the formal nomination from the president itself, the Senate Judiciary Committee, on which I serve, will then hold a hearing, and the nominee will be asked a whole lot of questions by all the members of the committee. And at the end of that process, the committee will take a vote. Assuming the nominee is favorably moved out of the committee with the majority vote, then the nominee will be considered by the Senate as a whole. I suspect that the whole process is likely to be completed sometime between now and early October. You see, the Supreme Court of the United States starts each term, each year's work in early October, and it completes all of its work by June of the following year. The Supreme Court finished its work today, and that's one of the reasons why Justice Kennedy chose to announce his retirement today. The Supreme Court issued the last of its opinions for the year, and so the justices will now be taking the next couple of months off. During that time, the president will nominate, and I believe the Senate will confirm someone to fill that vacancy, and that could have a significant impact on the Supreme Court.
So that's some Republican insider talking. And then I also have a recording of Sheila Jackson Lee, our representative in Texas, Dallas, who's a Democrat, and the response was quite different.
Justice Anthony Kennedy has just announced that he's retiring. All the more reason. Yes, he just announced this. And NBC. Oh my God! Got it. Organized. This is not that he's done it to be good on these
it sounded like, despair.
Yeah.
And here is one of the best versions of the talking point, which is Roe v. Wade. It comes from Ron Klein. Who is he again? Ron Klein.
Name rings a bell nowadays.
He was on Chris Matthews.
He's a jamoke.
He's a jamoke. Doesn't matter because he definitely was all in with the alliteration.
Ron, we're going to begin with you. I know you were on the Judiciary Committee during the Clinton confirmations, getting Ruth Bader Ginsburg through the committee. Within the Obama administration, you helped get Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan through the Judiciary Committee with your experience. What do you see as the possibilities tonight?
Well, I think the Democrats are going to have to fight hard. But I think if they fight hard, it's an open question as to what will happen. You laid out one scenario, Lawrence. I think there are others. Look, I think the key thing is to focus on a woman's right to choose. We didn't stop Mitch McConnell when he stole a Supreme Court seat in 2016. But we have to stop Donald Trump's Roe reversal reproductive rights ripoff. We have to not let this happen.
How good is that?
Wow.
The Roe reversal reproductive rights ripoff. Oh, it feels so good to say.
Down. That was written. He wrote and practiced that. There's no way.
No. It's She Sells Seashells by the Seashore. The Roe reversal reproductive rights ripoff. I love it.
Yeah.
That is, that's a poster. That's a poster.
But we have to stop Donald Trump's Roe reversal reproductive rights ripoff. We have to not let this happen. I think that Democrats showed they could beat the odds when they beat Robert Bork in 1987. I think if they fight hard and organize, they can put pressure on Collins, on Murkowski, on Flake, and potentially derail whatever Trump's trying to do here.
Whatever he's trying to do. It's the Roe reversal reproductive rights ripoff.
But we're going to stop it.
Whatever. Well, Trump did fuel the fire, fanned the flames when where was he yesterday? In North Dakota.
Yeah,
and
he's out there
he brought
doing his thing. This guy's he's worse than Obama. Obama, they were always criticized because all he's ever did was run for president because, he gave all these speeches that were always campaign speeches. Yeah. Even in his last years when he couldn't run again, he would keep doing it.
But there's a key difference. The way I see it, Obama would go there, and he was on the road all the time too, and he would do his thing, and then he'd be like, let's have some dinner, let's hang out with everybody, let's get everybody organized around here with the elites. And I think Trump flies in, tiny dancer, does his shtick, can't always get what you want, boom, flies home. Back to Washington.
Yes.
That's what it seems like.
Correct.
And I'm okay with that.
You're absolutely correct. Yeah. That's exactly the difference. Trump, I've never, see Trump hanging out.
No, he doesn't.
In restaurants and having ribs.
He's hyperkinetic. He can't sit down and chill. He can't. It's impossible. It's an affliction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's I don't know what's happening right now on the news networks, but I, for one, am very happy. At least we switched it up a little bit from the kids in cages because, oh my God, it was just off the hook, and it's all happening here in Texas. All the live shots are taking place here, and I do have some backgrounder on the organizations that put the kids in cages.
Well, I have two clips I'd like to play early. One of them is very short, 20 seconds. And then I do have my bitch clip, which is the one I want to play and then complain. But let's play Migrant Rap, CBS, play early.
It was a week ago today that President Trump signed the executive order ending the separation of families, but the language in the order didn't specify what would be done to reunite those families already separated.
Bull crap. It did. It required court action.
So now you've got this ruling by a court in California that is blistering in its language. It's a preliminary injunction issued in the Southern District of California by U.S. District Judge Dana Sabra, which says the government is blocked from carrying out any future family separations. The order also says parents cannot be deported before being reunited with their children. Under the present system, Judge Sabra writes, migrant children are not being accounted for with the same efficiency and accuracy as property. Certainly that cannot satisfy the requirements of due process.
We do not want any children children separated from their parents any longer than absolutely necessary under the law.
Hours before the judge's order, President Trump's Secretary of Health and Human Services, Alex Azar, told Congress that the government would not return children to parents who are being held in custody.
If the parent remains in detention, unfortunately, under rules that are set by Congress and the courts, they can't be reunified.
Azar's referring to the Flores Agreement. That says that immigrant children cannot be held in detention for more than 20 days. Now, HHS says there are currently 2,047 children still separated from their parents. That's just 6 less than the number the government gave us last week.
Okay.
Nothing's going on, but let's play part 2.
We went to see Border Patrol Chief Manuel Padilla, who runs the busiest sector on the border. He says last week, as the national debate was raging over separating families, the number of apprehensions dropped.
Preliminarily, what does that say to you? That it works. Having a consequence to illegal entry works.
Yeah, probably
so
does.
That. Yeah, because they're stealing the child. They're taking you come over here, come trying to get into the country. They said, great, grab the baby and run.
Or if you're a trafficker and using a child, which happens, then you know that avenue is not going to be that successful.
Exactly. But there's still this, and this is the child scam clip.
Okay.
We have our first unfiltered look this morning inside a facility for separated immigrant children. CBS News obtained cell phone video from inside the Cayuga centers in New York. The clip shows children huddled in what looked like classrooms, including one crying girl who couldn't talk to her mother. Vladimir Dutier of our streaming network, CBSN, shows how the children are coping after weeks of separation from their families. Vlad, good morning.
Good morning. As you know, the government will not let cameras into these shelters. Gail, you know that officials release images that they only want you to see. These videos were provided to us by attorney Michael Avenatti, a Trump administration critic. They were apparently shot by an employee who was troubled by family separations and recently quit.
Leo, ¿cómo estás?
When we first see Leo, he's all smiles.
¿Estás triste?
But that smile disappears when he's asked if he's sad about being away from his mother. Attorney Michael Avenatti represents Leo's mother, Lourdes. He says the two were separated 48 hours after arriving at the Texas border May 10th.
She had no idea where he was for the better part of 3 weeks, and she was distraught over it.
What is Leo's mother's status now?
She's been deported back to Guatemala.
Leo was sent to the Cayuga centers in New York. He's one of 243 separated children there, according to Mayor Bill de Blasio. Cayuga cares for the children during the day. At night, they go home to foster families.
Yeah.
What kind of a deal is going on here? You got the Cayuga centers, which is not a detention camp. It's a former orphanage that dates back to 1854 that has repurposed itself to be a kind of a not a shelter by any means, but a day camp for kids that have, I guess, live in foster homes in this case. And it just seems like they separate this kid from the mom, send her back to Guatemala, and then bus the kid to New York, Cayuga, New York.
Yeah.
This just seems wrong.
Well, this is these big organizations, non-governmental organizations. One is the Baptist Child and Family Services, and the one here in Austin, which last year received just under $100 million to take care of kids, is called Southwest Key. And they are the ones that do this. They are the ones that place children either in foster homes or in facilities they operate. And it's baffling to me that, well, no, it's not really, because I just don't see anyone looking into these organizations in the M5N.
There's no coverage of this. And that I can see at all. And not one of these reporters, we're watching, that's CBS reporting there. And not one says, why is the kid shipped to New York?
Okay.
This is like madness.
So I looked at all the 990s of these companies. I did a lot of, and all of the research is in the show notes, nashownotes.com. You can find it easily. First of all, the CEO of Southwest Keys makes $1.5 million a year. It's a nice gig, shipping children around. But it's, I lost my train of thought. Ask the question
You're talking
again.
about, you're looking at all the 990s. and you saw some trend.
Yes, okay, all right. So, and you do the numbers, and all of it's government money. They get the grants from Health and Human Services, and in their case, it was $94 million was a grant from Health and Human Services. This is Southwest Keys, who is headquartered in Austin. And the rest came from a couple of events, a couple of big donors, but it's all government money. And if you look at the actual, they call, throughout all their documents, they call these immigrants clients. And I always have a huge problem with this. Because when you consider the people you're helping as clients, in your mind, you're running a business, and the goal of the business is to get more clients. It always is. And it's also job security, etc. So currently, it's about $35,000 on average per person per year that they detain, which is equal to prison. It's actually a little cheaper than commercial prisons. And so when we're talking about and this has come up now with, we've got to get rid of the commercial prison system, which I think you and I are all in agreement with. That is a complete, scam, and it's putting people in jail for profit. This is no different. But no one is looking at these organizations because, they're just doing good work. No, they may not be doing good work. And we really need...
And I'm in total agreement. This is the problem that you have with the private prisons. They want more prisoners.
Yes.
So they do everything they can. They influence legislation. They change the rules authority. They do everything they can to get more customers. It's exactly what you said, which is the clients.
And I think it was in 2010 or 2011, President Obama went to Dallas, and it was a big hoo-ha, big shindig, hoedown with the Baptist Child and Family Services Group, doing such fantastic work. But this $1 billion, it's now up to about $1.3 billion, $1.4 billion a year. This has been going on for quite some time. But to say that these children are in cages is just factually incorrect. It may not be great, and if you sit there,
it's almost as this.
Well, listen, from your clip, if you sit down and say to a child who has been separated from their mom because they entered the country illegally, and you have all these rules and they're conflicting rules, if you say, "Are you sad?" What do you expect the answer is going to be? Yeah, it's great. Screw that old hag. No, of course not. So it's just playing on everyone's emotions in crazy ways.
Yeah, that's great, but it seems to me that the left in particular is being used.
Yes.
Because they're the ones who are promoting this.
Yep.
They want these. They want to, they're the ones that have made a big fuss out of this. I mean, the criticism about Trump seems to me that what Trump has done by making it he says, well, if you're going to have this policy, let's have, a zero tolerance, which brought it to the fore. And now it's out there now it's like, to be cherry picked. It's like low hanging fruit, the real story, but nobody's picking the fruit.
And it's so sickening when you think about what is A, happening, and B, possible. A, these organizations who get, hundreds of millions of dollars each from the government, from my money too, they kick back millions of that into the coffers of politicians who will continue to help them get more clients. And it opens up a very dangerous, and I've seen no research on this, but hopefully someone can find some. Why wouldn't you toss a few bucks to some of these traffickers? Hey, bring a few more over. I mean, it's clearly a possibility when you have clients and you want more.
It's clearly a possibility, and you're right. I would think it probably. You can't accuse them of doing it because have no proof, but
not yet.
It makes nothing but logical sense to do it.
Yes, and we saw that happen with the court system. With the schools tossing kids into juvie and then getting processed as adults and thrown into jail. We've covered all of that. So why wouldn't it be happening in this case? And maybe that's part of what is supposed to be uncovered is this incredible scam which has been going on for years. But now has come to the forefront due to the zero tolerance policy because now, of course, everything is blowing up and no one can handle the deluge. So it's disturbing. But more disturbing to me is the subtle change in all the so-called reporting, moving it from illegal immigrants to immigrants. Let me see. So everything is discussed in a framework of these are just people who are immigrating to our country. We're a nation. We forget the whole illegal part. And by the way, it may be broken, but I've brought 2 people in on the system. I've helped someone else here locally who was here illegally, and I helped her and her family get legal. The system does work. You just have to actually do it. And sadly, it costs a lot of money. Yeah, you're talking at least $3,000 on the low end per person. That's just what it costs to do it legally. I think, and I've been through all these throughout the years. I've been through all the cost of this. It's $400 here. And remember that one time that's like with my previous with my ex-wife.
Yeah,
they had all these.
I thought it was like $10,000 or something. You were out.
Well. You'll recall that she tried to enter the country, and even though we were married at the time, the paperwork, and it was my mistake, the paperwork was incorrect, even though technically she had every right to be here, and she got sent back at JFK. She got sent back. Do you remember I was in Holland for 3 months?
Yeah, I remember. The show was from Holland.
Yeah.
It made the show more international.
Yeah. So it did make it more international, but it was not a fun process.
No, you don't want to be forced to go to. I mean, no plan. You got boom. You left. You had to keep 2 places. That was terrible.
So, it seems like this money-making scheme has been going on for quite a while, and I think there's a lot of people who are going to be very worried if this really starts to come to the forefront.
No evidence that anybody besides the 2 of us have even noticed this.
No. So back to my my issue with changing this from illegal migrants or immigrants just to immigrants. Rob Reiner and his wife, who we rarely hear from his wife. Have you ever heard Michelle Reiner speak?
No, never.
I didn't even know he had a wife. Well, I'm sure he did, but
I know he's got a daughter and a son, or a daughter. Rami.
Something works. Yeah. So he and his wife, for those who don't know, Rob Reiner, very famous director. Of course, he was Meathead in All in the Family, and he's and his dad is famous. It's a Hollywood family. Him and Michelle, and they are very elitist, very rich, but they came down off their high horse. And they came to El Paso at the border to sit down with Joy Reid outside, just right off the border. They're out in the wind. they're in sandy desert-like conditions, talking about how horrible this is. And well, you can only surmise what the conclusion is of all of this. And this was so unhinged from both of them that I just pulled a couple of clips because it's very unhinged. That's the only word I have for it. Here we start off with Rob Reiner, Michelle Reiner with Joy Reid.
But the truth of the matter is, there is no crisis except for the one that Donald Trump created. Yeah. There is no crisis here. But he created one, and clearly all he's interested in at this point, let's cut to the chase. This is about racism. This is pure and simple racism. That's all this is. He's hoping that the people who support him will be ginned up and running to the polls to make sure that brown people don't come into America. That's exactly what's going on here. And and in the process, he's destroying families.
That's how simple he thinks. Is that Trump doesn't want brown families to be in America, which is what all of his supporters think, and so he's just a racist. Now let's hear from Michelle Reiner.
Because I hate to repeat what he just said, but this is based on racism, period, as they like to say. That's all this is. They don't want more brown people coming into this country and taking their jobs. Immigration is lower than it's ever been. There's no crisis at the border, and it's just an inhumane, unconscionable act that they did by separating children. And I have to tell you, my mother was in Auschwitz. She got separated from her entire family, lost her entire family. I never thought I would live to see something like that, particularly in this country, ever again in my life.
Oh, it's exactly the same. This is fantastic.
Lifetime. Yeah. It's hideous. And by the way, as a fellow Jew, I'd like to hear Ivanka speak up. Where is Ivanka? Not just where are the girls, where is Ivanka? You know, her mission is women and children. She's here to help them, as well as Melania, supposedly. Where are they? Why aren't they out there speaking out and screaming about this and becoming the face of reorganizing and, you know, getting the kids and the parents together again? Where are they? Where is she?
You'll see that she wears the pants in a minute. Now, is it... she says inhumane. Reiner says inhuman. Is there a difference in those two?
I don't think there's a word. I don't think inhuman is a word.
This is inhuman. What we're doing in the United States of America is inhuman. And you mentioned it a second ago. He launched this campaign basically saying Mexicans are rapists, they're murderers. That's what he's still selling.
Okay, basically saying, no, that's not basically what he said, but okay, for your argument.
It's the only thing he can sell to that racist base of his. And that's what he's been doing. He started his political career and saying Obama was not a legitimate president.
Racist.
This is all a reaction. The people who support him are frightened to death of this country becoming the Browning of America. It's about immigration. It's about people coming together. We've been doing this for hundreds of years. It helps the country. It makes the country stronger. We need immigrants to help boost our economy, and everybody knows that. Yeah. This is xenophobia, pure and simple.
And crime is lower where there's groups of it. So everything that he's been saying is a lie. He lies about everything, and his base agrees with him. Yeah. And Fox propagates it, and then that's it. Then you got 40% of the people who just believe that.
Yeah, I've noticed this too.
Jeez.
There's the detractors have a huge issue with Fox News, which of course started with Obama. He said that the people watch Fox News are, well, paraphrasing, idiots. And for some reason, there's this belief amongst the radical left who are saying, I think, very horrible things, what they're saying here, that Fox News, Fox News is making it all happen. That Fox News is so powerful that MSNBC, CNN, CBS, ABC, NBC, they can't fight the evil Fox News, and that's what
they imply. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Let me give you the definition of the word inhuman is true.
Okay.
Lacking human qualities of compassion and mercy, cruel and barbaric. That's inhuman. Mm-hmm. Inhumane is without compassion for misery or suffering, without compassion for specifically misery or suffering.
Oh, so they're both right.
Yeah, the two words are slightly different in their definitions, but one of them likes to use one and the other one likes to use the other, showing their individuality.
I learned something. Again, you'll see that she wears the pants. I learned something from Michelle Reiner, which I did not know, regarding Godwin's Law. Godwin's Law was Godwin's still around, the guy who came up with the famous statement that once someone calls someone else Hitler online, then the conversation is over.
Yeah.
Am I categorizing Godwin's Law properly?
Yeah. In fact, as a definition, since I'm on this thing, Godwin's Law is an internet adage asserting that as an online discussion grows longer, the probability of a comparison involving Hitler approaches 1 degree. Anyway, so yeah.
You know, Michelle, you talked about your family's experiences, and, you know, there is the Godwin's Law, which, by the way, Godwin himself suspended for Donald Trump.
This is true. Did you know that?
What?
Godwin suspended his own law for Donald Trump. I didn't know this.
I did not know this. No.
Yeah. If you look it up, he tweeted. He said, "Oh shoot, let me get it now. Hold on. Godwin suspends own law. It's fantastic. Here we go. I thought it was a tweet somewhere. Yeah, this was around Charlottesville." And he said, "By all means, compare these shitheads to Nazis again and again. I'm with you." So he suspended his own law, which kind of ruins the whole Godwin's Law argument.
Yeah.
Who knew?
You know, Michelle, you talked about your family's experiences, and there is the Godwin's law, which, by the way, Godwin himself suspended for Donald Trump, which says that when you make the analogy to the 1930s Germany, you go too far. But there are a lot of people who are talking about the fact that it didn't begin with the violence against Jewish people. It began with the rhetoric about people being vermin, about people infesting the country, about people being criminals. And that rhetoric is pretty consistent, and that is one of the things I think that's destabilizing and really frightening a lot of people.
They follow the exact pattern that Hitler has, I hate to say it, with the propaganda, even down to the Red Cross went into Auschwitz. They cleaned it up for 2 days. It looked fine. They went back. They said everything seems fine there, And
it's a fascist playbook.
Same thing that when Melania did that ridiculous trip in that ridiculous shirt and went down there.
Fascist, I tell you. Yeah, Red Cross, fascist. Everyone's fascist. Hitler, fascist. They kill you.
It's the playbook.
It's the playbook. It's the playbook. The playbook's back in play. How is Hollywood helping, or are they?
What's the balance on how much that helps, how much that doesn't help? What do you think?
I think it helps if you understand the issues and you can speak intelligently about them. I think it doesn't help when you say F Trump. That kind of stuff doesn't help. Oh. But if you understand what's going on...
I can't wait to see what De Niro has to say about that. Really, man? What are you doing about it, Reiner? This could be a little rift internally, I'm thinking.
This stuff doesn't help. But if you understand what's going on and you can put it in context, we have a president who does not understand the nexus between politics, policy, and government and how that all works. So he just throws something out that he knows his base will lap up, but he doesn't know how that's going to ultimately be implemented and how it's going to play out. Yeah. And so he winds up with this insane policy.
And then the final clip where you will hear who wears the pants at home.
Well, I'm gonna say what I've been saying, which is we need to get this man out of there. This man is poisonous to our democracy. We're right now at a point where democracy is hanging by a thread. I mean, right now the courts are holding, and right now the press, a big chunk of the press is doing their job, but there's a big chunk of the press that is fighting back and pushing another narrative, and it's hard to break through to those people. So I'm going to talk about what we need to do to save 241 years of self-rule. It's being tested right now. We're being tested.
To quote that new book that just came out, he is evil. He is evil. And the thing.
What book is that? What book is that? Do you know? What book is it here where it says he's evil?
I don't know. You think if I was the author of whatever book that was, I'd be irked that she didn't promote it. Give the title.
Oh, that new book.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I was just saying. It's just what book?
That just came out. He is evil. He is evil. And the thing is, I thought I'll come in and he won't really know because he's not that smart. He doesn't, he'll just do a showmanship thing.
Maybe she's talking about the new Harry Potter.
But he's evil, and how he's treating people and dismantling everything to help anybody else in this country except for the top 1%, of which he claims to not be. It's that's the joke of it all. But he's not a good man.
Are you more worried or more hopeful today?
Worried.
I'm worried, but I'm also hopeful. I'm really hopeful worried. because
you know what?
I do believe in the decency of human beings.
Yeah, but they haven't done anything about the cyber attacks. Yeah. They haven't done anything to change what happened in 2016. The same bots, the same things are going on that went on then. What's changed? What's to stop Russia from taking over this election in 2018?
What's changed, in my opinion, is that Donald Trump is in the White House.
So she overrules him by saying, nah, I am afraid. But did you catch this thing about the election that she said? I'll play it again.
Because you know what? I do believe in the decency of human beings.
Yeah, but they haven't done anything about the cyber attacks. Yeah. They haven't done anything to change what happened in 2016. The same bots, the same things are going on that went on then.
When she says the same box, is she talking about...
Bots.
Bots. Oh, okay. I thought she said box. All right, now I understand. The same bots are going on. Really? Yeah. The same bots?
Bill and Jim, two of the worst of the bots. They're still out there.
And I have a quick little a notification for Rob Reiner.
Republics are not democracies!
Just letting you know. Getting a little irksome.
Wow, unhinged indeed.
Yeah.
By the way, she is a personality type. She's an archetype. I've run into them. There's lots of them around here. It's just a very, very strong-willed woman who dominates the family.
Yes, for sure. And then A montage?
He can't. That's why Reiner, I think, is such a sour guy. I think he doesn't know it that his wife is making him that way. But that's
if you see the video, she jumps all over him. He just his whole body language goes deflates.
Yeah,
and she starts overruling him.
He's a beaten man.
Hey, we need a new campaign. Save Rob Reiner from his marriage.
Save Rob Reiner.
Save Rob Reiner. So the media took all this and really rolled it up into one. And I have a nice montage here, a compilage of how Trump is turning Trump supporters and voters, I don't know if there's a difference, into public enemy number one.
If you vote for Trump, then you, the voter, you, not Donald Trump, are standing at the border like Nazis going, you here, you here. And I think we now have to flip it. And it's a given the evilness of Donald Trump.
If you hold down the woman while the rapist is raping her, and you didn't rape her, are you a rapist?
Tens of millions of people voted for him after he showed his cards for years.
But are you suggesting that they're racist, or they're
yes?
The people who vote, all the people who voted for Donald Trump are racist.
Yes.
If Republicans weren't so racist, they could encourage black people who are morally conservative to be on their side.
Those people who are supporting what he's doing here are racist, period.
It's movements and people that are speaking up for things, whether we're talking about civil rights movement, whatever else, those movements should be nonviolent, but they should not be non-confrontational.
And so these policies that this administration is putting forth are intentionally cruel, they are racist, and it is our job as citizens to speak out against that. Now, does that mean that we're going to be violent? No. But does that mean that Sarah Sanders can have a nice, quiet dinner with her family when she's taking our tax dollars to implement this policy? I don't think so.
Anybody who votes for and supports a racist is a racist. You are culpable, white America. I'm sorry.
Is it complicit or either you're enabling?
Kristen Walker, how do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
Why 25% of the country, whether it's 25, 20, 30%, are hardcore racist. They do not want to see brown people coming into America. That's just what's going on here.
There are still generations of people, older people, who were born and bred and marinated in that prejudice and racism, and they just have to die.
Oh, thank you, Oprah.
What?
Yeah, it's Oprah.
They have to die?
Yep.
What is wrong with these people? Wring her neck?
They feel pretty.
Die?
Feel pretty strongly about their convictions, I guess.
Wow.
Although
this reminds me of one of the screw ups. I had this clip from another show, but there was this screw up. Trump signed a thing to stop this, and then the judge came out. And these guys, this is just about. Apparently, it's one of the groups in California. They have a playbook, and so they just decide, because of the kids being separated, they're going to go on a 24-day fast. and it's like they're looking at each other like, why are we starving ourselves for this? It doesn't make any sense. But just play this clip, and you get a kick out of it. After the signing, 24-day fast.
Tonight, emotions boiling over on the border. In McAllen, Texas, the epicenter of the crisis, demonstrators blocking a bus full of immigrant children, creating a tense standoff between protesters and police. Human rights activists announcing a 24-day fast in support of separated families.
What is the significance of a fast in this situation?
People are sacrificing. They're feeling a little bit of pain, maybe hunger pain, but not the kind of pain that these families are suffering or that these children are feeling.
Feeling some pain. This was dropped like a hot potato.
Yeah.
Where's happening? This was like a week ago. So where is this 24-day fast now?
Are they still fasting? Are they still fasting?
Nobody did it. Nobody picked it up. They said, no, we're not fasting. We're just here to protest. We're not here to starve ourselves.
With Starbucks nearby? We can't be doing that. Yeah, let me see if I don't see any updates about this.
No, because it failed. It was a fail. Epic fail.
It was a 24-day fasting chain initiated by Carrie Kennedy, the daughter of late Robert F.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure she's out there. Is she still hunger striking?
No. This is all bull crap. These guys are full of it.
And it apparently it was a 40-day hunger strike first. And That's kind of long.
I never heard of that one.
Yeah, here. What is this?
Hunger strikes are not effective. I mean, especially if you think of as Trump as some sort of evil person, I'd like to see you die. By the way, I'm reminded of the era of the George Bush administration, where of course they all love Bush now, but they hated Bush.
They called him a Hitler and Nazi back then too.
They called him a Hitler and Nazi and evil. Yeah. And there was this. We talked about this on the show. There was this dichotomous approach to him. One, he's the dumbest guy in the world.
Yes, but yet he's an evil genius.
But he's an evil genius is with the same thing they're attributing to Trump. He doesn't know what he's doing.
But he's got this plan.
Genius.
Yes, he's got this horrible plan.
Make up your mind, people.
Yeah, it's really quite astounding, really. Quite astounding. And this is going on everywhere, when because I have conversations here in Austin too, and and certainly with Europeans are all up in arms about this. And I said, I'm sorry, at least we put them in cages. You had them in a freaking camp in Calais. Thousands of people stinking, walking in their own crap.
Called the jungle or whatever
burned
it was called.
Down, hanging off of trucks. Jeez. At least we put them in cages.
This is typical. Any EU person that's over here, pontificating. It's like Piers Morgan and his anti-gun stuff. Yeah. What does a Brit know about American philosophies regarding guns?
But it's nothing.
Nothing. That's the point. They just want to take their ideas and shove them over to us.
Well, the BBC is doing a fine job of equating everybody who's against the overrun of the European Union planned as per the Kalergi plan. Anyone who's against that, who wants to defend their little nation state, it's no longer a country. Now you just have a state of the European Union. They're racist, and it's exactly the same thing, exactly the same. And so
same people.
This is the Hungarian foreign minister. Who would be interviewed by BBC Newsnight. It's a little bit long, but it'll take us into the break because it's and the guy's, he speaks English fairly well. And the idea here is, look, we really want to stop people at our border. And this was announced by the Prime Minister. What's his name again? The guy who kicked Soros out of the country. He said, we don't want this. We don't want
in Hungary.
Yeah. Oban. What's his name? Not Oban.
Yeah,
that's a.
Victor.
That's a whiskey, isn't it? Is it Oban?
Victor Oban, is that what it is?
It's Victor Whiskey from now on. So here is the foreign manager being challenged by BBC Newsnight.
The current migration policy of the European Union can be very easily translated as an invitation in the mindset of those people who can easily make a decision to hit the road towards Europe based on their everyday life situation.
On World Refugee Day last week, you passed a new law which makes it illegal to help migrants. It criminalises helping undocumented immigrants, and that includes asylum seekers. Why would you do that?
There are organizations who help people to ask for asylum even if they have no legal basis for that, and promoting the violation of the Hungarian border. Promoting
also this also dovetails in with it's unclear who exactly is behind it, but the mission-lifeline.de ship, which is belongs to one or multiple NGOs who go pick people up off the coast of Libya. Clients, I might remind you, they're clients. That's the same thing happening in Europe. And then they bring them over, and then the new Italian government said, no, you're not landing here. We don't want you. So they wind up in, I think, Malta eventually.
I forgot where this last group went.
Yeah, they go to Malta. But
if you're in agreement with Orban and his boys, you're an obviously Nazi fascist, but they have a history of dealing with Muslims.
I was going to say, Hungary has quite a history when it comes to fascism. Didn't go so well for them.
Yeah, they don't like to have this disruptive.
Listen to it.
Opportunities which have no legal basis. If you do so, you have to count with the consequences.
You will be making it illegal to help refugees fill in forms. You will make it punishable by jail to organise or distribute information that could help migrants. Now, you accept this legislation not only flouts human rights, but it also breaks an international treaty you have signed.
The content of the law is not what you have listed. The content of the law is that if you promote illegal possibilities to come to Hungary, then you have to count with the consequences.
Right? Because anyone who lands in your country who calls themselves an asylum seeker has the right to have their papers and their situation examined. And you are now making it illegal, unless I've got that wrong, to help somebody find out or promote. Or
we are from the south. We are surrounded by peaceful countries. So those people who were violating our borders all came from peaceful countries like Serbia and Croatia. And there's no any point of reference in any piece of international regulations why you should be allowed or helped or assisted to violate a border between two peaceful countries.
Okay. This is a very good point, which I hadn't thought about. And I had to listen to this clip twice to figure out what he was saying. What he's saying is, if you are here, if you're seeking asylum, then you need to seek asylum where you land, not land in a country, then come through that country, then cross our border and say, I need asylum because I just came from Croatia. There's no historical...
Right, because you should not need asylum from Croatia.
Yeah, nor should you need asylum from Mexico, which people are coming through. So the argument is the same.
No, the challenge is that since the policy of the European Union is still built on invitation, and there are tens of millions around Europe.
And by the way, when he says policy of the European Union is invitation, it is. That is the Kalergi plan, which our buddy Macron is this week it really embraces. It's going to be hundreds of millions of Africans coming in. That's what it is. We're beyond the point of no return. This is great.
Who can hit the road very easily?
It's gone down 51% in the last year.
Yeah, but
it's gone down 81% in the last 2 years.
Okay.
So when you talk about this invitation, you're inventing something that doesn't exist anymore.
If you allow me to finish. In the last 3 years, we had time to build the capacities to be able to protect ourselves from the south. We had the time to build capacities to control our border. Now tell me, if the Western Balkan route gets activated again, who will stop the illegal migrants? The first defense line is still Hungary, the southern border of Hungary, because the countries south from us either do not have the capacity or do not have the willingness to stop such kind of influxes.
This isn't actually about immigration, is it? It's about xenophobia.
No, I have to reject that, and I take it as an insult, what you have just said.
He says insult, but he means insult, because that was indeed quite rude. He basically said you're xenophobes.
Have the willingness to stop such kind of influxes.
This isn't actually about immigration, is it? It's about xenophobia.
No, I have to reject that, and I take it as an insult, what you have just said, because we Hungarians, we do have the right, and no one can take that away from us. We have the right to make our own decision, whom we would like to allow to enter the territory in Hungary, and who we do not allow to enter the territory of Hungary.
And you don't want to come in are Muslims, is that right?
Just if you can let me finish.
That, if you don't mind,
but I would like to answer your previous question, because that was concluded by a very serious insult against my country, and I have to reject that again, because I always have shown respect to everyone who asks me, but I expect respect not for myself, because who cares, but for my country and for the people I represent, and calling a country xenophobic, it's an insult, especially if you put into consideration Hungary, and no one can take away the right of decision of us with whom we would like to live together. And yes, it is our intention to keep Hungary a Hungarian country. And yes, we do not agree with those ones who say that multiculturalism is by definition good.
Yeah, in fact, all the leaders of the EU said multicultural society failed. So
yes, we have to remember that that commentary where they said it failed.
Yeah, I probably have.
I forgot when was that. What was the circumstance around that commentary?
Let's see, I think it was. Let me see. David Cameron. Here we go. This is from Oh, a long time ago.
What I'm about to say is drawn
2011
from the British experience, but I believe there are general lessons for us all. In the UK, some young men find it hard to identify with the traditional Islam practiced at home by their parents, whose customs can seem staid when transplanted to modern Western countries. But these young men also find it hard to identify with Britain too, because we've allowed the weakening of our collective identity. Under the doctrine of state multiculturalism, we've encouraged different cultures to live separate lives apart from each other and apart from the mainstream. We've failed to provide a vision of society to which they feel they want to belong. We've even tolerated these segregated communities behaving in ways that run completely counter to our values. So when a white person holds objectionable views, racist views for instance, we rightly condemn them. But when equally unacceptable views or practices come from someone who isn't white, we've been too cautious, frankly even fearful, to stand up to them. The failure, for instance, of some to confront the horrors of forced marriage, the practice where some young girls are bullied and sometimes taken abroad to marry someone when they don't want to, is a case in point. This hands-off tolerance has only served to reinforce the sense that not enough is shared. And this all leaves some young Muslims feeling rootless. And the search for something to belong to and something to believe in can lead them to this extremist ideology. Now, for sure, they don't turn into terrorists overnight. But what we see, and what we see in so many European countries, is a process of radicalization.
There you go. Didn't work out so well.
And that was a very interesting commentary by Cameron. I don't think that's the clip that we're thinking of, but that was a fundamental clip. That's for sure.
Yeah, there may be one where he actually says it's failed, but that was legal migration into the EU, into the UK, which was interestingly, Pakistanis mainly, I would say, was done out with guilt. Indians. Guilt was forced upon the population. Like, we were horrible a-holes. We were colonialists. We did horrible things. We've got to let everybody we screwed over, we got to let them come in, which is not dissimilar to what you're hearing now. We did horrible things to slaves, to brown, black, yellow people, red people. So we've got to change our ways and let everybody do whatever they want to do. It's the same type of shaming. You'd think it was coordinated somehow.
Well, it's destructive. And people like Rob Reiner and his wife are destructive individuals.
And with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say, in the morning to you, John C., where the C stands for Caucasian is racist, Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. Also in the morning, all ships at sea, boots on the ground, subs in the water, and all the dames and ice out there.
Don't forget the Space Force.
Oh, Space Force!
Yes, in the morning to everyone in the troll room. Thank you for keeping me on the straight and narrow. It was Spain, indeed, where the ship docked, not Malta. Thank you. I want to correct that. Also in the morning to Mark G. He brought us the artwork for episode 1045. Title of that episode was Pseudo Addiction. And he did a couple of nice Space Force logos. And we chose one, we thought was the best and was appropriate for the episode. And we thank him for uploading. He's a pro. He does very beautiful work. And we thank him for uploading that to noagendaartgenerator.com. And all the artists who upload their work there, including, I think, the SpaghettiOs that you wanted a high-definition version of.
I want a high-definition version of a number of these, and I wish the artists would... I
have a feeling that maybe... Aren't they in high def on the server, maybe? Have you talked to Sir Paul about it? No?
No, they send them up at the right size, which is this 5 something by 5 something. We need there's the one in particular is that shield that has been redone, and I think it's turned into a poster. I really like that artwork.
Yeah, I have a couple of T-shirts of that one. That's really beautiful. I agree.
Yeah, it's quite something. All right, well, let's thank a few people for helping us up on out on show 1046. 1046. Starting with Nate. Came in with 333.33, become an executive producer. from Michigan, Grand Rapids. Oh, great. He's probably in the club, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah.
The local number one.
You bet.
Agenda group.
Yep.
I think.
I'm
if
sure
he's not, he should be.
Join now.
I was peacefully mowing the lawn while listening to the donation segment of Sunday's No Agenda podcast when I had to stop and rewind back to make sure I had heard correctly. Sure enough, it finally happened. I was called out as a douchebag by my friend Kevin.
Oh, no.
It's now time for me to follow suit and end my douchebaggery by donating to the best podcast in the universe. Please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
Curiously, I was hit in the mouth over 3 years ago by my former co-worker, Ryan. To my knowledge, he's never donated. I've always thought Ryan would be the one to call me out, but Kevin got me first. Now that I'm no longer a douche, I'd like to call out Ryan as a douchebag. Please play Obama No Mariachi to get his attention. It's his ringtone. That would get his attention.
Yes, it would.
I request any collusion and a karma for all dudes named Ben out there.
Okay, you know what? No. Hey,
Any collusion?
His first name may have been Ben.
So a guy named Ben, a dude named Ben.
You've got karma.
Anonymous from Three Rivers, California, 333. Three Rivers, 333. Anyway, I noticed that my income balloon I noticed my income balloon as soon as I started donating anonymously. Coincidence?
Mm-hmm.
In any case, I request a de-douching and Trump jobs karma for all fellows and future producers.
You've been de-douched.
Thanks to them and you two for this life-saving podcast.
Wow.
Everyone else, go to PayPal or your checkbook and learn a fun lesson about how this whole karma thing works. My first donation was $45.18 for John's birthday 2 months ago, and I'm already executive producing bling bling.
Your favorite word. Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, all righty.
Jobs.
You've got karma.
Thank you very much, Anonymous.
Dr. Jeff in New York City, also $333.33. These guys will be our executive producers for show 1046. Longtime listener, first-time donor. Thank you for the twice-weekly dose of intelligent deconstruction and analysis. Keep up the important work of unraveling the consistent confabulation and hysteria of the M5M. Constant confabulation. I'd like to request a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Jobs, karma, and an F cancer. Best, Dr. Jeff in New York City.
Oops, sorry. Yeah, okay.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
Sir Tim, $250. Parts unknown. Word from Gitmo Nation, Durlan, Singapore. Or Durian, Singapore. It's Singapore, but he's using durian as kind of a joke for you. Durian
for your durians.
Aficionados.
Yes.
By the way, durian ice cream, delicious. I hope my donation can be earmarked towards an NA tour of Southeast Asia.
I'm packing as we speak.
I'd go. You could broadcast from Kim Jong-un's St. Regis suite here in Singapore and Ed Snowden's room at the Mira in Hong Kong.
We could do that in audio anyway and just stay home. Hey, John, I'm in Kim Jong-un's suite here in the St. Regis. It's just very spacious and yes, it's really fantastic. I'm happy to be here in Southeast Asia.
Room service. Sir Cal of Lavender Blossoms, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right, Sir Cal.
Sir Cal of his Lavender Blossoms, boy. Stay woke, douchebags. I missed the Korean news lady jingle. Would you please play it to enlighten me? Sir Cal, Lavender Blossoms. How's your eyeball, John? I'm getting there. It feels good. I see better than I did by far.
Does he want a karma as well, or?
I think he wants the give him a karma. He needs it for. He's got the Lavender Blossom business. Give him a website plug.
LavenderBlossoms.org for the best CBD THC products endorsed and approved without payment, at least not directly, by the No Agenda Show. You've used the product. I continuously use this product. I love the Night Nurse. He should add in boner pills. We could have a whole gig.
You've got karma.
There's your Korean lady.
Roderick Vilo.
Our M5M podcast aficionado from the lowlands. Roderick,
and he's in
he's in Holland normally. Yeah, Amsterdam.
In the morning, Adam and John, I had a weekend in Berlin and filled with a large part of the 7 hours drive to Berlin and the 7 hours back to Amsterdam to catch up with some unheard parts of the best podcast in the universe. The show is great long-distance entertainment as well. Sorry to hear about Adam's hearing loss, but great you can EQ and compress now all the sounds around you.
I got to tell you about my visit to my audiologist after this break. Oh, yeah.
Enjoy that. As the end of my trip, I entered sunny Amsterdam over the Utrechtbrug bridge, John.
Yeah.
The show was on, and I had a car radio experience like, wow, 35 years ago, Adam was on the FM pirate station, Decibel, here in Amsterdam, and I still listen to the guy in my car. For a moment, nothing had changed. Woo! Play the theremin, please.
Nothing.
Theremin.
Yeah. Theremin is coming. I got to pull it out.
Thank you both very much for keeping me company on the 14-hour drive and all the great work you do. My regards.
Yeah, I would like to point out that Roderick was also on the same pirate radio station, so whenever I listen, I'll listen to his podcast in the car, and then I'll have the same basic experience.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Roderick. Make sure you check out his podcast, in Holland, in Orlando.
The name of the podcast?
I'm spacing on it right now. You look up Roderick Velo, Velo, you'll get it.
Velo. Sir Carries, Karys, in Somerville, Massachusetts. That's $201.02. Doing my part to keep the show alive. You both are amazing and should keep up the great work. Humbly request the chemtrails and Obama, you might die, Sir Carries.
It's the TPO podcast. Is Roderick's podcast.
Okay.
And, sorry, what were we looking for here? We were looking for You Might Die and Karma.
You Might Die and Chemtrails.
Yeah, and Karma as well?
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
You might die.
Chemtrails. You've got karma.
Stop.
Whoa, what?
He wanted him in the other order, and I think for good reason.
Oh, I want chemtrails first? Yes, of course. Yes, I understand. All right, let me get it back. We can do this, and we'll try again.
Chemtrails. You might die.
Yes. You've
got karma.
Interestingly, I have not seen a decent chemtrail in Austin for months, maybe the entire year. And we used to have crisscrosses all the time, like an apple pie.
Yes, because whatever if assuming there were chemtrails that didn't do anything, turned everybody to Democrats. All right, here we go.
Come back with the chemtrails, quick.
$200, Commerce, California, from Lionel Ewing. I have been listening for a year and have been thinking about donating for a while. When I heard you were in Cabo, San Jose, it was a sign to ask for some sailboat karma for my sailboat Sideways, located in Cabo. He said Cabo, but no, it's Cabo, San Jose. I'm going to make a big passage to Ensenada and need all the help I can get.
Wow!
Thanks for the sanity. Okay.
Wow! Send us a note from sea. You can be a ship at sea.
Isn't Cabo on the eastern side?
Yes, it is.
So he's going to go through the Panama Canal?
And the Straits of Aden, I think. He's going all out.
Oh, he's going for the...
Here you go, man. You'll need it.
You've got karma.
In a sailboat, no less. Oh, right on. We got some adventurous
I wonder what it
producers.
costs. There's a fee to go through the canal. You don't go for free. I wonder what it costs for a sailboat to go through the Panama Canal. I'd be interested in hearing what the toll is.
Yeah, are you even allowed to just have your rinky-dink little runabout?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why not?
I don't know. I'm asking.
You pay the toll.
I'm just asking. I have no idea. Could be.
Well, it's like you got a little airplane and you want to land at a big airport. You can do it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But usually people don't do it because the toll, if landing fees in Europe are quite high if you want to go to a big airport. You could be 500 euros just for a landing.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Which kind of discourages the small light aviation.
Yeah, that's the idea. You discourage it, but
yeah.
Well, I don't know. This guy's got, the time and the energy to go around like that. He's not going to go around South America to get there. That's for sure.
Well,
there's no other route.
Nope. No. So the troll room, some are saying $500. Someone else said $2,000. It's enough. It's enough to discourage you from doing it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got the money.
All right.
Next time donate more. Instead of going there, just stay in Cabo and we'll take the money.
I think Cabo San. Did he say San Juan or San Lucas? I think
he said the same as San Jose.
San Jose. I think that's the west side. No, I don't know.
Cabo San Jose.
Hey, look,
well, now we have somebody in the troll room could quickly look at a map.
That's where I got it from. They're saying it's on the west side.
Oh, okay. So this doesn't have to go through the canal.
Yeah.
But I still would like to know what the fee is and whether a sailboat can go through.
Okay. We'll get that info to you stat, sir. Promise.
Stat.
And that's it, right?
That's our associate executive producers for show 1049. I want to thank each and every one of them to help support the show and produce the show.
It's all part of our No Agenda family. It's the value network that we've created over a decade, working with producers around the globe who help us with every aspect of the show in more ways than one. And just like Hollywood, we like to thank our executive and associate executive producers up front because they are also really making it work for us. And we'll be thanking more people in our second segment for $50 and above. And, of course, we've got another show coming up on Sunday. The deconstruction never stops. Remember us at
Dvorak.org/NA.
Go out there. Tell people a little bit about these organizations making all that money.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
So the hearing aid business is a big scam.
I think you told us this already.
Yeah, but
I get the same hearing aid for $15 out of Hong Kong.
Well, no. You can get the same hearing aid if you buy 100,000 of them for about $500 a piece. And even then, it's not really the same. But I had a visit with my audiologist yesterday, as I'm still on the demo, the demo aids. I don't like that. It's like, hey, man, how are your aids? Like, call it something else. Don't like that. Doesn't sound right.
Your aids.
I've done a lot of research, and the main thing I was looking for is I just want to be able to adjust these, 30, so it's anywhere from 30 to 48 channels of audio. It's digital signal processing. It's just like the podcast device I use here. I just want to control it myself, and this is where the scam comes into play. The way the operation is run is the prices of hearing aids are incredibly inflated just so that it's a protection racket. So they mark up these devices from the manufacturer. The ones that I'm looking at now will cost my audiologist somewhere in the region of $1,700 just for her to purchase, to resell to me, and then whatever she resells them to me for, I get all the visits I want for free built into that. That's kind of the way the system works, which is ridiculous for a number of reasons. But the worst part is that if I want to get the software, and in order to program these, you need a loop, a ring around your neck. It's called a USB link. So it communicates wirelessly with them so you can do it on the fly. They won't sell that to you. In fact, if I think if they found out that any audiologist, I won't mention any, had given one to somebody because they thought they would have a good time working with this person on creating the perfect sound for him, they would probably be cut off from selling their devices altogether, or kicked out, or shamed, or whatever. Yeah.
No. There's actually illegal practices where they literally cut you off. I can see that.
Yeah.
A lot of businesses have that going on.
Yeah. Well, it's a shame.
Illegal. It's illegal. It's illegal.
What's illegal? What part is illegal?
It's illegal for them to not sell you the thing on fear that they get cut off.
Huh.
You can't do that.
Well, it's happening.
Yeah, well, it needs to be. The problem is you'd be out of business, but you'd have to sue over it, and you'd pretty much have to go to the Supreme Court.
Is it a RICO thing then? Is that like a?
I think now that you mention it, that's where you can maybe get some action.
Yeah,
it's RICO. It's a racketeering.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
anyway, let's just say I happened to run across exactly what I needed in the past few days, and and it's going very well. I'm very happy. I am Singularity, man. I'm there. This is so good. I would recommend you get a pair. You have no
Why?
Because it really enhances your entire awareness of stuff. Even if you have good hearing, your hearing can't be perfect at this point.
No, I'm too old to have perfect hearing. I can't hear. I can't. In fact, there's that one little note they play. In fact, there's a test where they can play. You can tell somebody's age, but can you hear this? Can you hear this?
Yeah.
And the hands go up, and then the hands start dropping because you can't hear it. And then you get a 10-year-old can hear it. It's the only one that can hear it. You know that gag.
Well,
I wouldn't mind hearing those strange sounds. But then again, those are the sounds that they play outside of stores. I know in California they do this, even though they bitch about it, to keep the kids from loitering.
The painful sounds in higher regions?
Yeah.
Really now?
Yeah, they put them outside of the store. You have this sound. You buy the gear, and you put it. And if you have a bunch of loitering kids outside your store, you put this noisemaker up there, and it doesn't. Nobody's bothered by it except these teens.
That's interesting, especially since it just came out regarding high frequencies. I'm just transitioning here. Facebook apparently filed a patent for exactly what I've been talking about last month. I think about the ultrasonic cross-device tracking. So they filed a patent where FaceBag can embed high-frequency tones into television shows or commercials, and it will then activate the Facebook app. The microphone will be listening with your consent, because that's what they've always said. We don't do that without consent, so you'll give consent, trust me. The next upgrade you get, whatever. No, you won't. The next upgrade, whatever, fine, click, I consent. In order to, they're saying right now in the patent, it's just so that people will know if the ad was playing or not. But obviously, we can see all the problems that goes along with that. Now, the phone that I was interested in, the Nokia 8110, the 4G that we talked about, that even you got a little excited about, that just
was all worked up.
No, I didn't say you were all worked up. You were a little excited.
I thought it'd be cool, but then again, I don't care. I don't even carry the phone half the time.
Well, I got two phones in this week. I got the Nokia 3110, the 3G 2017 phone. This phone is fantastic. It does even less than the Nokia E71, and I don't miss any of it. So it really is
by
just
less. What do you mean by less?
So when you send the newsletter, I can get it, I can read it, but I can't edit it. There's no editing software on the phone. I also can't reply to the forwarded messages that come in through MMS, which I could do on the Nokia, on the E71. But it's kind of okay because the phone is fast. The browser is fast. You can still do, if you have a webmail, you can get to it. There's an email IMAP client, which is crap. It lets you download 50K of attachments. It sucks. But the really disappointing thing was this 8110, which has the new operating system Kai OS, Kai OS. And
I've heard of this.
Yeah, it's a fork of the old Firefox OS, which I think in turn is a version of Linux somehow. I'm not sure.
I'm sure it stems from Linux.
And that was exciting. Like, oh, this is great. And again, it's just a browser. I got one. I bought one off of eBay, and I promptly somehow got one that has all the wrong radio, so it doesn't work. But it was only $90, so
Where does it work? It's got to have a radio for some place. You might want to keep it on the side.
Yeah, well, if I go to Hong Kong or
it's CDMA.
No, it's not CDMA. It just has the wrong radios, the wrong frequencies. Okay. It's GSM 900 and 1800, and I think T-Mobile is 700 and some other radio.
Most phones usually have 4 radio to at least 3 radios in them.
Yeah, this is this is $70, and eventually it'll go on sale in the States. But that's not the problem. Just when I was like, okay, this will be good. And by the way, predictive text, that shit kind of works. I've forgotten how good that was. Remember the predictive text on your phone? Did you ever use that? No, probably not.
You're talking to the wrong guy.
Wrong guy.
I use voice for my texting on the phone.
Yeah, so you're sending all your messages to Google so that they can store what you said. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, then you should get the Nokia 8110 because Google just invested $22 million in KaiOS to bring Maps, YouTube, and Assistant to the feature phone. So they just ruined it.
They did.
They ruined it. These guys, they're idiots. They ruined it.
Huh.
And yeah, I'm sure notifications are next, which is one of the whole purposes of not having this is you don't want apps. You want a paper map. And you don't want an assistant. Well, this would be good for you probably. You just talk to Google.
Hey Google.
So you compose all your messages on the phone.
Google, erase my hard disk. Google, erase my hard disk.
Did you hear what happened? Oh, of course you did because you responded on Twitter. This was the best OTG. Well, actually, 2 reports came out, and they may not be unrelated. First, Slack went down. Now, Slack is integrated in a lot of companies, big and small. It is a hot workflow group collaboration piece of gear. And it went down, and just Twitter exploded with people like, well, I guess there's jokes now. It's like, we can get back to being productive. But obviously you can't if you're within an organization. So this is Professor Ted laughing in his cell. And then pretty much all of Google Home went down. Google, the great guys, and they're always around, and it's reliable, and never worry about them.
I love that.
So people's lights couldn't be turned on and off with hey, Google, turn on the lights. The Nest thermostats were not functioning. The talking tubes were not working. This has got to be some kind of warning, people. It's not a good idea to have your life connected to these types of services. It's cool and it's fun, but when it really comes down to it, it's a problem.
Well, I'm glad that you're on it.
Yeah, and I just had
you didn't play the jingle.
No, I played the jingle to close out the segment.
Okay, we'll close it. Close it.
No, final thing. I had a genius idea.
Oh, okay. Another moneymaker for the No Agenda, from the brains that brought you No Agenda.
Yes.
Here we go.
Now, to have the talking tube capability, whether it's Alexa or Google or whatever.
The thing you have, but you apparently have lost interest in.
No, I'm using it every day, but it takes too long and you get antsy and you get annoyed. So I don't use it on the show. I use it at home all the time. I control it completely. It doesn't talk to anyone else but me. I would like to have that in my hearing aids.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Then you can just be walking down the street talking to yourself like a lunatic.
I'd be like, hey, Mycroft, what's the weather like? I'm telling you, this is where it's going. It's going in this direction.
Is where you're going, the booby hatch.
The booby hatch. Oh, phrase from the Shays. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I'm OTG. You can't find me. Yes, I'm OTG. You can't find me. Yeah, I'm OTG. No eyes on me.
It is somehow, I have to say, it's a very weird experience because it does connect to the iPhone. When you're just walking around and you forget about them. After 4 days, I've forgotten I'm wearing these things. And you click play on something, and all of a sudden the sound is just in your head, and there's no bleeding out. No one can hear anything from the side of the earbuds.
I would disable that immediately.
It's fantastic. Why would you disable it?
I don't need that kind of aggravation.
It's not aggravation. You can hear stuff. You can be
rock out. Hey, you're bouncing down the street and heads going around. You're going like this. You would look like a lunatic. Well, maybe he's listening to some headphones, or he's got no headphones on. He's just jacking around like that. Who knows why? Stay away from him. Then if you get a bit, then to really top it off, you need a big pee wet spot on your pants. You can go anywhere. I guarantee no one's going to mess with you.
Well, OTG achieved, I would say.
All right,
thanks for that visual. That really helped. I'm glad you encourage my experimentation with insults. That's always nice.
Yes. Well, I'm sorry if you thought that was an insult. It was actually a compliment. So
even more, and he doubles down on me.
So let's get this out of the way before it's too late, because I think it is too late. But maybe today's still a good day. But here it is: pot on sale.
Yes.
There's a marijuana blowout sale going on in California. Legal dispensaries have slashed prices up to 50% before new testing rules take effect on Sunday. After that, shops will be forced to destroy pot that wasn't properly tested or packaged. The state legalized recreational marijuana in January.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Pot on sale, people.
You better get it quick.
Anyone listening to the live broadcast, get down to the dispensary immediately.
Oh. Because they're going to destroy it, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be a great bonfire. Very popular event.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, did you hear about this pedo bear arrest?
No. They actually arrested a bear?
Yes. Now, it caught my attention because, all the Pizzagate people are not talking about it. It's typical. Although some have inserted this new line. Here's the headline. FBI, Clinton campaign official arrested on child rape charges.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, I saw that. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, so I guess the guy campaigned for Hillary. I don't think he was in the campaign. But
Papadopoulos, what did he do?
But it's much more disturbing. So this guy, Joel Davis, is 22, and he was actually running. He's the chairman of the International Campaign to Stop Rape and Gender Violence in Conflicted Regions. Classic. He was sending text messages, and he got the FBI trapped him, and he was sending text messages to 9-year-old girls. He admitted, according to the reporting, to officers he had abused a 13-year-old boy in the past and kept child porn images on his phone. That's what I always say. You're right. It's a classic for this guy to be in an org like that. It's just interesting how it's been tied into to Clinton.
Well,
good work.
Good work, Roger.
Yeah, you really on Roger Stone doing all this, huh?
Yeah, I am.
Someone is. And someone's doing a good job.
A coincidence. And the guy's laying low, and next thing you know, something like this comes out. I mean, it's one thing after another. And the NBC target is just obvious that something's up. Yeah. I mean, NBC is targeted, and it's going to go. It's going to be hitting all kinds of NBC executives, eventually getting Comcast.
Ooh.
Until they knuckle under. You watch.
I want to ask you a question. I didn't hear the latest DH Unplugged. Did you guys talk about the looming deadline for the 5,000 cars a month from Tesla?
No, not much.
Because, I guess he has to be producing 5,000 cars by the Model X's or whatever it is by the end of June. Otherwise, he broke his promise. But
How about that?
Yeah, it's.
Well, he's got a big tent. He better put up a big tent and a kind of a phony baloney line.
He did that. Yeah, I love that big tent. I just want to say I really enjoy the fact that these Tesla vehicles, when they crash into something, they burst into flames. I'm really enjoying this fact. This is good.
Boom! It's like a Simpsons
most
joke.
Cars, they just, and they might catch fire, but these things actually explode burst into flames, which you can't extinguish. This is great.
Well, there's a couple of things that should be noted for people who would like to invest in this stuff. The death of the muscle car in the 60s and 70s, where you had the Hemi-Cuda, which was like, I think, where it peaked. We had this little Barracuda, a little small car with this monster engine in it. It would just tear up the place. Those things all went into decline until the bottom, about 1975, when high horsepower cars were almost all gone from the roads, and the engines were all detuned, and a lot of this had to do with the gasoline problems too, but it was largely to do with one other factor: insurance. The insurance companies, all out of the blue, they all said, you know what? These overpowered cars are dangerous. You want to have one, you can have one, but you got to pay huge amounts of insurance. This is actually what's killed off the rebuild of the area around Biloxi, Mississippi. You can't buy. I mean, there's beautiful houses still there, and there's lots of lots, because there's a lot of the coastal places were wiped out. And I've said, just people, aren't they rebuilding? You can't. They won't insure them.
Yeah.
So the insurance makes a big difference. So the insurance companies have gotten a clue, and they've decided that Tesla's insurance is going to start skyrocketing.
Yeah.
And the reason isn't because they're blowing up all the times. It's because they're not repairable.
Yeah, they just disintegrate.
Well, even if it doesn't blow up and disintegrate, if you get a dent in it.
Yeah.
Because everything's so integrated, there's wires and electricity running through the whole thing every which way. You can't take it to a body shop and actually just fix it.
Yeah.
And so it's like and so you can't fix it, but it costs like way more than it should. And so the insurance companies are just going to beg off on it.
Well, there's something else that's very dangerous that I realized the other day, because of course I when he still had it, I borrowed the former New York banker's Tesla, and there's something inherently dangerous about the way they've taken all controls of the vehicle and put them onto the screen. Pretty much everything except, I think, for the electric windows. Just like in aviation, there's tactile controls that have a special look and or feel, more feel actually, specifically to keep you safe while you're flying. So as an example, when you put your flaps up or down, the knob for that is a flat, square knob, which resembles a flap. Your gear, and you've seen it in cockpits, is a big rubber knob that resembles a big rubber wheel, and that's down or up for your wheel. So you have this feedback mechanism that you're grabbing the right control. By moving everything, I mean, radio, there's another great example. When they got rid of the volume knobs, you've got on the steering wheel in the Tesla, but just looking for stuff, you're always looking at this screen. The screen it draws your attention. I think it's very dangerous. Just the whole idea of taking the tactile controls away. With that.
And I don't like the centralized stuff. When I was testing cars and I was driving one of these little Fords, I can't remember the model number. I drove it from Washington State to back to California. I was taking Jay back, and we're in this car, and it had the Microsoft Sync.
Oh, yeah, that's Ford. Yeah, and Ford uses that. Yeah.
Well, they don't anymore. I mean, it's so it crashed. But there was a DVD in the player that was playing this one Christmas song. And it went on permanent repeat.
Oh, no.
And you couldn't turn it off. You couldn't push the eject button. The thing, the little Ford Sync was done. It wasn't going to give you, you had no controls, and it did control the DVD player or the CD player. And so we had to listen to the same song, replay and replay and replay. It went on for over an hour. And then it was just enough to drive you crazy. Luckily, they had the heat controls, and everything else were hand. They were smart enough not to put those into the Microsoft product, because you'd be in a hot, boiling car with a song playing. It's like torture. Mm-hmm. And so, luckily, it rebooted after about an hour, and then it kicked the disc out. But no, it's nonsense.
Yeah, well, I was just tying that into
Give me a knob.
I got your knob right here, my friend. I'm ready for you.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. And also, there's something about the Tesla you don't have. I don't even like it in the Prius, where you don't. I like to look between my steering wheel and see the speed, all the gauges and things. not like I'm staring at him. I just like to see him right there. I don't want to see him over to the right or it's over my head or on some screen. I just don't like it. I don't like looking because I can get to the road easier in terms of my eyeballs. I can move, just look at the road, look at the speed, look at the road.
Right.
It's not a big movement. Right. Okay, so we hate the Tesla. Great.
No, it was just an observation. It'll be in the news. You know, it'll be a big thing. Meanwhile, the stock just keeps on going up. I don't know how that works. It went down to the 250 we predicted, but then it just went back up.
Yeah, it's an interesting speculation.
Yeah, not for me. A little too rich for my blood. So this we had this upset in New York in America, which is I think amidst all of the racism taking place is a shining light for the Democratic Party.
The Uma Abedin lookalike.
Yes, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Her story is interesting, and I think I'm going to call bullshit on her story because she really came out of nowhere. The way it's been positioned is she was just an educator, a community organizer, just a bartender, working mom. I think is she a mom?
I don't know.
Yeah. Actually, and so she wins. She beats out this blowhard in New York, which I guess is pretty good. I mean, I'm all for.
The guy does sound like Bruce Springsteen when he sings. He does.
Yeah. Do you have a clip?
No.
Oh, disappointing.
I didn't care about the whole thing personally.
Here's so she's 28. She does indeed look a bit like Uma Abedin, and I think there's a lot more similarities. But first, let's listen to her campaign video. This is the video that, and I don't know how much money she had, but he
outspent her 80-1.
Excellent.
Women like me aren't supposed to run for office. I wasn't born to a wealthy or powerful family. Mother from Puerto Rico, dad from the South Bronx. I was born in a place where your zip code determines your destiny. My name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I'm an educator, an organizer, a working-class New Yorker. I've worked with expectant mothers, I've waited tables and led classrooms. And going into politics wasn't in the plan. But after 20 years of the same representation, we have to ask, who has New York been changing for? Every day gets harder for working families like mine to get by. The rent gets higher, healthcare covers less, and our income stays the same. It's clear that these changes haven't been for us, and we deserve a champion. It's time to fight for a New York that working families can afford. That's why I'm running for Congress. This race is about people versus money. We've got people, they've got money. It's time we acknowledge that not all Democrats are the same. That a Democrat who takes corporate money, profits off foreclosure, doesn't live here, doesn't send his kids to our schools, doesn't drink our water or breathe our air, cannot possibly represent us. What the Bronx and Queens needs is Medicare for all, tuition-free public college, a federal jobs guarantee, and criminal justice reform. We can do it now. It doesn't take 100 years to do this. It takes political courage. A New York for the many is possible. It's time for one of us. Vote for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on June 26th.
So here is her full program, her platform. She is fighting for Medicare for all, which you would like, a universal jobs guarantee.
Yeah, whatever that means.
Serve our community.
And by the way, if you listen to it, it was a universal federal jobs guarantee, I think, in her little spiel.
Oh, could be. Fully funded public schools and universities. Paid family and sick leave, housing as a human right, justice system reform, which includes ending the war on drugs, I'm all for that, demilitarization of our police, I'm for that, and abolish for-profit incarceration. We can jump on board with all of those, I guess.
Pretty much.
But then immigration justice, protect dreamers.
She's a no borders girl.
Yeah, no nation. Oh, yeah. No nation. Well, she's a democratic socialist. Protect dreamers and TPS recipients. That's temporary stay. So, for instance.
So is the podcast.
It's TPO podcast. TPS is, for instance, the
is that the report you had to do in the
TPS report?
Space?
Yeah, that's not what it is. It's when you get temporary stay rights, for instance, the Haitians who are still taking advantage of that.
Right.
Simplify the path to citizenship and abolish ICE. And just a quick thing on that. ICE is not necessarily a new organization. They folded in some of the old Customs Border Patrol, I don't know if you call them divisions or whatever you call it, along with some DHS. It's not like they built a whole new. It
came around during the Patriot Act.
Yes, that's exactly right.
It's a reorg.
And I will say, nothing pisses me off more than these guys having their way stations in Texas, anywhere within 100 miles of the border. And I think that was a Bush thing, probably Patriot Act as well, or how it was interpreted. And they think they can stop you and say, "Are you an American citizen?"
Oh yeah, they have them up in Washington State. Yeah, these guys,
which is not legal, and you don't have to answer. And there's tons of YouTube videos of people saying, "Am I being detained? On what grounds?" And if you're not being detained, you don't have to answer. I hate that. I really despise that. But that's been going on for a long time. Infrastructure overhaul. And with that, she says, invest in 100% renewable green industry. Nuclear, I'd say. So I could be on board with that.
They won't do that.
Clean campaign finance, meaning ending the corrupting influence of corporate finance in public elections. And an economy of peace.
And by the way, I would find it self-contradictory, the campaign finance thing. She beat a guy who was taking advantage of that system, and she beat him. Didn't spend.
She beat him.
So it proves that it's bullcrap. But Trump, Hillary's the same thing.
Yes.
And in fact, this guy, the Bruce Springsteen guy, that was the congressman there for 20 years, he was sucker punched by this. He was like a Hillary situation where he had bad advice. They had a debate. The local station there had a debate, or I guess it was just a debate in a high school or something. She showed up and he sent a representative.
What an idiot. Yeah. Good move, bro. Dumbo. Now, you said Uma Abedin, and I have a clip here of her right after she won, and she's speaking to a very small group of people, which I think is her team. So it's maybe about 20, 30 people, and there's a lot of hooting and hollering. And she's standing on a table in what looks like a bowling alley, and this is her thank you speech to her people. So I understand that. But two things really, and you kind of have to see it to appreciate the finger wagging. She has this finger. She keeps, you know how most politicians have been taught to put their thumb on top of their fist? So you never want to point a finger. So she
the way Clinton does it. Yeah. The way Bill Clinton does it.
Bill Clinton, every president since Bill Clinton has done that.
Yeah, you're not supposed to point a finger or wave a finger ever.
So she hasn't quite gotten that memo yet, but you can tell that she's been told, because near the end she does the thumb, but in the beginning it's finger, 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 finger. And her cadence and everything to me said, I don't know if it's really just a coincidence with New York and Hillary Clinton having been a senator from New York, and she looks like Uma Abedin. There's all these things. I mean, I just can't ignore it. And her cadence, too, and the things she says just really reminds me a bit of Hillary and Uma.
And before you play that clip, I do want to mention that thing you played previously was extremely high-end professional.
Beautifully shot. Beautifully shot.
It was not some slouch.
That's not a $10,000 video. No.
It was done by the big boys. It was done by people that knew what they were doing. And this guy who got kicked out was somewhat. I don't know how he let this happen, but he did. He's dumb.
I'm sure he was a douchebag like all politicians.
Well, he looks like one, too.
Yeah.
Should we make a commercial? I don't even know. I just want to thank you all so incredibly much much for this moment. This victory tonight belongs to each and every single person in this room. This room won this seat. Yours won that seat. Every person out here this evening changed America tonight. Is that this is not an end.
You hear her saying, I want to make it very, very clear. I mean, these are all Clintonisms that's coming out here.
Okay.
I'm sorry?
I'm going to disagree with you after you're done with this clip.
Oh, I don't have to play it. You just disagree now. It's easier. It's a long clip.
I believe Charles Schumer's behind her. Those Clintonisms that you're hearing are also Schumerisms.
Okay. I buy that.
And he needs somebody to replace Anthony Weiner. She's a loudmouth. She's a jerk.
Good.
She's going to be the next senator if he can control her.
Yeah. Well, now let's listen with those ears on as well.
Is that this is not an end, this is the beginning.
And now that you say that, you're so smart. I don't even know why I complimented you with that. You didn't deserve that from me, but okay. When I did that CNN thing, remember it was back in the late 80s. It'll be so fun to have the MTV young guy go interview the young councilman from New York, Anthony Weiner. And as a part of that special, we also went to D.C., was it D.C.? Maybe it was D.C. To interview Chuck Schumer. And it was so obvious that, this was his boy. This was his boy from beginning to end, from finances to mentorship, guidance, everything. So it makes total sense what you're saying. And they're cheering for you.
This is the beginning, because the message that we sent the world tonight is that it's not okay to put donors before your community. The message that we sent tonight is that improved and expanded Medicare for all, health care for every single person in America is what we deserve as a nation. What we proved tonight in sometimes the deep midnight and darkness that it feels in our political environment, that there is still hope for this nation. That is what you have given every person in this country. You have given this country hope. You have given this country proof that when you knock on your neighbor's door, when you come to them with love, when you let them know that no matter your stance, you are there for them, that we can make change. Is that this nation is never beyond remedy. It is never beyond hope. It is never too broken to fix. We will be here, and we are going to rock the world in the next 2 years.
Rock it! That goes on for a little bit. The video is worth looking at, but I think you're right. There's no way she came out of nothing in this type of landslide. She had definite help. And so you think that Hillary was not involved at all in this case?
No, well, I don't think she would be for a couple of reasons. One, she was a big Bernie woman, and I think she's very grudge oriented, and she wouldn't have anyone that had anything to do with that horrible man Bernie. And so there's that. And I think that she has all the earmarks of a Weiner with this loudmouth screamer. And it's like you'd pick her because she's only 28, and maybe God knows hopefully she's only 28, so we can maybe hope to God that she doesn't have skeletons in her closet like Weiner, and have some background that is embarrassing. She was a stripper or something like that. Which is always the fear, because especially if you're going to groom her. So she's going to be groomed to be a loudmouth New Yorker. Yes. Ethnic, we're going to go with the whole thing.
Did you see Hillary, though, at Oxford?
No, I did not.
Would you like to hear some of it?
Of course. I love listening to Hillary.
I believe we are at a global tipping point.
Tipping point.
A moment that will determine Whether we hold to the principles of free people, human rights, and democracy, or retreat into closed societies, oppression, and authoritarianism.
You know, I was thinking about that. All these no nations, no borders people. We got a lot of them. We got a lot of them in America. A lot of no nation, no borders people.
I don't know how you get that way, but okay.
Yeah, and
that's because of the schools. The schools do not really teach you true American history.
Then
they teach you the internationalism.
Then why don't the schools teach the metric system?
They keep trying.
Because if you truly want to be compatible with your compadres for no nations, no borders.
Trying. I remember when I was at during the heyday of PC Magazine probably in the late 80s. And even before that, I would always get notes from people saying, A4 paper is where it's headed. They're going to stop 8.5 by 11. They're going to discontinue it by law. And I remember hearing this over and over and over. And A4 paper, and by the way, I don't know we do have a lot of artists in art. I think A4 paper is ugly. It's hard to say a blank piece of paper is ugly, but I think the proportions of A4 paper, and people can go look at it and buy it. If you write to a British corporation, you get it back in A4 usually. I think the dimensions are creepy. It's a lousy dimensional type of paper. I hate it. And then I heard that when I was in grammar school, when I was a little kid, and I'm old, I was hearing about metrics. Oh, metrics. Metrics going to take over. By law, they're going to make metrics. We got something in our culture that doesn't let this stuff happen.
Now, when you were talking about these dimensions, I immediately thought, how does this tie into Fibonacci? Because we have the golden ratio, which is what it should be. Shouldn't just all paper be isn't that, what is it? Is A3 the golden ratio? Is the A3 size paper?
You can look it up. I don't know what the golden ratio is regarding to letterhead paper, but I don't think the 8.5 by 11 is the golden ratio. I don't know what is, but that's different because the golden ratio refers
I only say that because you said it doesn't feel right. It feels uncomfortable. It's like, that's because it's not a Fibonacci ratio.
It's possible. But that usually the golden ratio refers to the images and how they're dimensioned. I hate to do that on the sheet on the art or whatever. It's not the same as the raw piece of paper being creepy. It's too narrow.
Well, I grew up with A4, so yeah, feels.
Well, what do you think? Do you hate 8.5 by 11? You think A4 is better?
I don't care either way. I don't care. Print. Just print something out for me. I don't care. It doesn't disturb me that much. But I'm just saying that if you're going to be all no nations, no borders, do a better job on the metric system. It is easier.
Extremist ideologies are on the rise. And adding to the tumult is the fact that the forces that undermined America's election in 2016 are still with us.
She's running, baby. She is gonna run.
Oh yeah.
Threatening other democracies.
She's staying out of the country, though.
Well, that's smart. It's a smart thing to do. Stay out of the country.
She doesn't want to get killed.
Stay out of the way. You never know what could happen.
Threatening other democracies, including this one. Now, in the U.S., it was a perfect storm. Deep currents of anger and resentment flowing through our culture. A political press that told voters my emails were the most important story. Unprecedented intervention in our election by the FBI. Woo-hoo. And an information warfare campaign waged from the Kremlin.
From the Kremlin.
Now, what we have learned about Russian interference in 2016 is more than alarming. Ooh. It's a clear and present danger to Western democracy. In the U.S., we know that Russian agents used Facebook, Twitter, Google, YouTube, and other online platforms to place targeted ads, to run phony news stories, negative stories, intended not only to hurt me, but to fan the flames of division.
Oh, really? We needed help? We needed help with that? I don't think so.
Within our society. So Russians posed as Americans, pretending to be environmental advocates or racial justice activists.
I love her cadence like this when she's just saying it's racial justice.
They even
hold on. She always had people I remember years ago before she ran. This is probably in the 90s, where people would go and say, women mostly, because there was a lot of women in this country that just idolized her, and that's why they weren't going to listen to anything bad about it. And they go, Hillary's going to be the next president. And you know what's great about her? She's such a great public speaker, and I'd listen to her, and she was the type of public speaker, especially in those days. I think she's not as bad anymore, where she would say each word individually. And her whole speech would be like that, like she was talking to a little 5-year-old or something, where you have to enunciate and slow down. And I was thinking, geez, you think this is great public speaking? And that's what she's doing in there. What you're witnessing is the leftovers of that cadence. And it comes out all the time when she starts to get serious. She starts to talk like you're a little kid being talked down to.
Sorry. I don't know where that came from.
To run phony news stories, negative stories, intended not only to hurt me, but to fan the flames of division within our society. So Russians posed as Americans, pretending to be environmental advocates or racial justice activists. They even held phony demonstrations. Often with a woman dressed in a prison garb in a cage where everyone was yelling, "Lock her up." We are in the midst of a global struggle between liberal democracy and a rising tide of illiberalism.
Illiberalism. Now, there's a term I haven't heard yet.
I'm going to look it up.
Illiberalism.
Vladimir Putin has positioned himself as the leader of an authoritarian, white supremacist, and xenophobic movement that wants to break
back.
What's that?
I said, get those words back in there.
Yeah. Do you know that there's a gay guy running for mayor of Moscow?
That's funny.
He's openly gay, and it's not a problem in Russia. Turns out the xenophobes they got to get on the stick. They're not doing. They're not hating right.
Of illiberalism. Vladimir Putin has positioned himself as the leader of an authoritarian, white supremacist, and xenophobic movement that wants to break up the EU and NATO, weaken America's and
I think the EU is doing a fine job of breaking up the EU without us.
The Atlantic alliances that traditionally have served us well. And undermine democracy anywhere and everywhere they can.
Everywhere.
We can see this authoritarian movement rippling out from the Kremlin, reaching across Europe and beyond, emboldening right-wing nationalists, separatists, racists, and even neo-Nazis. Woo! I hear a lot from young people in the United States who are not just discouraged by the Trump administration, understandable, but they are disgusted by politics and disenchanted with our democratic system. They've been told by voices on both the left and the right that it's a rigged game, and a natural conclusion is to believe there is no reason to keep playing.
This is where the pitch comes. Get out and vote!
I understand that reaction.
Were the Oxfordians going to vote? What are they going to do?
Nah, she's doing this for the home base, man. It's not for Oxfordians. She didn't care about them. She just wants to get on video undisturbed and say what she wants to say. And so that can go around because it's part of her ploy. By
the way, illiberalism is just the lack of liberalism. No. It's not like anything active.
It's not anti-liberal. It's just you don't have.
No, it's just the lack of.
Yeah.
Hyperpartisanship and polarization, gridlock and stalemate all undermine confidence in the democratic process. And these problems are exacerbated in America by the actions of an administration waging war on the rule of law, delegitimizing elections, undermining truth and reason, attacking the press for reporting their words and deeds, perpetrating shameless corruption, and rejecting the idea that our leaders should be public servants who put the common good over their own personal and political interests.
Just a little sampling of her speech. I like that. I like the, we're ripping apart the EU. I think it was, let me just go back. Who was her, her big secretary, her big State Department guru? What was her name again? Remember when she was in Ukraine? All important.
Victoria Nuland?
Yes.
While I'm driving off laughing, this is what I'll say. Fuck the EU. Fuck the EU. Fuck the EU.
Yep, she was working directly for Hillary.
Fuck the EU.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab.
Yeah, on No Agenda. In the morning.
And we do have a few people to thank for show 1046 and got some letters. We also got a note from Anonymous from Dog Patch replacing the coin with a different coin. And then he felt bad about it. He said that we're just...
shit happens.
Got a couple of coins from some other people, a couple silver dollars.
Mm-hmm. A Liberty dollar? Walking Liberty? Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Nice.
2. You get...
Very nice.
Yeah, I got to cash him in eventually.
I can just see you going to the Nemasticis meetup.
Oh, we have a gold place in Albany, California, that is it's like it's famous, and they swap gold and everything.
Oh, all right.
It's a real operation. Been there for decades. I'll just read his note though, because he's important to us. I made many mistakes in my career, and I've been some have been damned expensive. Rushing to send the coins and not packaging them properly is one I can afford to absorb. So enclosed is a replacement coin. I did intend for you to have 2 for Eid, after all. EID, the Muslim party time.
Yeah, Muslim party time.
Yeah. It's American this time, but made of the same stuff. He didn't have another Kruger. To the person who found it, if this is interesting, if you're a listener, congratulations on the find. He has some information here that I'm not going to read. If the coin is somehow lost in a machine, a dear machine, when you connect to the internet and search for it anyway, he's talking about getting the coin back. Mm-hmm. Adam, my comment about signing up for global entry was not to expedite international entry, but to get a trusted traveler number that is assigned when you sign up for global entry.
Yes.
You get the number and use it for all domestic bookings.
Oh, yeah.
And you will.
Yes. And I do that, and I don't get TSA pre-check unless I'm with Tina, because she has a much better FICO score.
He says, oh, really?
Yes. And she lords that over me. If I travel alone...
then his commentary is inaccurate, because he says you always get it, or most of the time you'll get it. But if you're right, because of FICO score, that's disgusting.
Well, that's Tina's interpretation, and I kind of... I'm willing to agree. And she doesn't have a trusted traveler number. But if I travel with her, we always both get pre-check. If I travel alone, back of the line, even though I have the trusted traveler number and everything.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
In a nutshell. All right. Well. All right. Let's thank a few people for show 1046, starting with Dominic DeVito in Middletown, New York, $150. He's got a token of appreciation. He listens to the show on his commute. That's just nice. Bradley Seltzer, 12345, parts unknown. Sir Arthur Gobbett, Sir Hugger of Kitties, 12345. He's in the Netherlands. Protector of Groninger gas fields.
The Groninger gas fields.
So aren't those the ones that are causing all the heartache to people that live in that area because of the earthquakes?
Yeah, earthquakes, yes. Houses are breaking apart and sinking.
Yeah. And the government's doing nothing about it?
No, they don't care about anyone outside of what they call the Randstad, which is Amsterdam, The Hague, and Rotterdam. Everything outside of that is kind of like, East Coast. East Coast and New York, D.C. No one gives a crap about the rest of the people. Typical.
Alan Hernandez, $101.01. Joel Nelson in Richfield, Minnesota, $100.69. Sir James in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Sir James, he's $100. David Rosenfeld, $100. Louis Pasteur, he's been in before. He's been on the night layaway plan for a while. First I heard of the show, John, way back in the days. Anyway, he probably is at night.
Well, he is. He's being knighted today. That's why it's blue. Oh. So he says, finally gave it a shot and have been a listener ever since. Between the layaway plan and random donations, I crossed the threshold for knighthood if I could get some jobs karma, as I left my retail IT job for the fruit company to a dude named Ben job for a cable company that focuses on Latin America. John, if it's okay if you say my name as Luis instead of Luis. Louis instead of Luis. Louis.
Luis. Yeah, I would pronounce it Luis.
You said Louis.
I said Luis.
Yeah, okay. Though I do enjoy how you change up the name every time. My favorite...
like Louis. I would say Louis Pasteur because it's... Yeah.
I know.
Because it's like a famous name.
Yes.
Onward.
My favorite... Hold on. Finish it up. My favorite was the inventor of El Pastore. You don't have to read the note out loud. Just give me some he needs some jobs karma. And he's going to be a knight, so he deserves
jobs, that. Jobs, jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
What if he's talking about the Al Pastor taco? Kelly Flanagan in Indian Wells, California. Her first donation.
Oh, de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Love the show. I've shared it with all my SoCal friends that vote R. Well, you don't have many friends.
I guess not.
So refreshing.
Well, she lives in Orange County, she does.
Oh, that's true. So refreshing to hear your back and forth. I sent a Louis Vuitton thermal border blanket. Huh? Did she send you a Louis Vuitton thermal border blanket?
It might be on its way.
Huh.
We did get a couple of books from a guy who sent also some coinage. I have to send you the books, or one of the books. I can get in two, which I'll talk about it later. And
I'll love to read something in my retirement when you finally get around to sending it.
Hocus Locus in Perkins, Oklahoma, 8838. He's talking about Unhinged. Mark Kendall, $85. Subodh Peth in Metairie, Louisiana, KC 5DDY, 73s.
Yeah, 73s, Kilo 5, Alpha Charlie Charlie.
Sir Brian Kaufman in Scottsdale, Arizona, 7575. Paul Cordelar.
You got it right. Cordelar.
IJmuiden, Netherlands. He says the last show was a donation disaster. I don't know what he didn't mean the last show, meant the show before.
Yes.
Sir Stephen Hutto in St. Petersburg, Florida, 7070. Rain Shadow in Oakland, California. 6783. I have to mention him because
did you get cookies
in the note. Well, this was a while ago. He sent a $50 donation and some high-powered cookies that I wanted to thank him for. He sent too many, but he can send me some more now.
High-powered cookies?
Yeah, they're pot cookies.
Oh, and how do you know they're high-powered?
Because I ate because you don't just gobble anything down that comes your way when it comes to edibles, and you always take a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Just to see what happens.
And did you get high?
With a little bit, I did, yeah.
Do that before the show.
I'm a lightweight, I guess.
Get a couple of crumbles before Sunday's show. Come on. This is great. Did you talk to Mimi? Did anyone see you in this state?
No, I just went and listened to Rihanna.
Okay, you just won the show. You won the show with that one.
No, I'm kind of a little wasted. I'm going to go listen to Rihanna. Seemed like a thing to do. Anyway, I want to thank Rain Shadow. I guess he's in the business or something. He sent his note, handwritten note, which I've read. There's actually a check came in with Rain Shadow as his name.
Oh, nice.
Von Glitchka, 5555. Amanda West in Minneapolis, Minnesota, 5510. Sir Milkman, 5510. Great shows lately, he says. Aaron Lambert, 5433, in Tumwater, Washington. Used to brew Oli, I think.
Yeah, he wants relationship and jobs karma, and on the birthday list. He celebrates tomorrow, so you're on the list. Absolutely.
Sir Luke, Baron of London, 5252. There may be a birthday in here. Let's see if there's maybe. Hold on a second.
I'm looking along, so I haven't seen anything except for we have Sean Kelly. He's coming up somewhere.
I think I lost a note.
It's probably right after you ate that cookie.
Yeah, maybe. Cookie. Ooh, cookie. Von Glitchka, man, where are we? I'm at Amanda West, Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's Von Glitchka. I did these people. I did Von Glitchka, Amanda West, Sir Milkman, Aaron Lambert,
yes.
Ambert Lambert.
Yep.
Sir Luke, the Baron of London, 5252. Eric, that's Eric Hochul, but
yes.
it says Hatchell. I think that
he's just trying to get through the Unicode issues PayPal has. He's like, screw it, I'll just put an A instead of an O with an umlaut.
But he's in Mulrose, which I thought he was in Berlin. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, $52. He's in Deutschland. Ryan Gilo of 5038. Joe Bassesi, 5038. Jeffrey Walso in Nelberg, Saskatchewan, 5033, and he wants jobs karma. We'll put that at the end for him. Sir Trent Wabbis, the Wascally Rabbit, as he calls himself. Sir, that's 5011. Wes Morton, 5001. Scott Nelson, 5001 in Melbourne, Florida. And the rest are 50s, name and location if they have a location. Louis again, Pastor in Miami, Florida. So he came in twice.
Luis.
I said Louis. You're right. That's what I said. That's what I said last time, too. You're right. Jose Ferreira in Newbury, Berkshire, UK. Niels Bonnecker in Hamburg, Deutschland. Thank you, Germans. Robert Makowski in Rhinebeck, New York, Germantown. Sir Peter Totes in Sugarland, Texas. Jeffrey Zellen in Oakland, Michigan. Robert Hauner in Leichhardt, New South Wales, Australia. We're short on Aussies today. Franz Slothauber.
I think that's a misspelling. Should be Franz Slothauder, which means holder of the key. Well, actually, the slot is really the lock, so keeper of the lock.
And Hilversum, Noord-Holland.
Noord-Holland.
That's Netherlands, obviously.
Yes.
Michael Robinson, North Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. Doug Andrews in Sykesville, Maryland. Brian Klimzak, Marion Schrimpf. And Marion Schrimpf is the last. She's from Brussels. Thanks to Thilo Jung and Stefan Schultz for the recommendation. She says she's in Brussels, but it came in from Deutschland.
Well, she's probably working for the EU's down in Brussels. You never know.
Yeah, she probably is.
And even though it's $49.99, Sir Tim of Calgary donates for a title change. So we have that.
Okay, good.
All right.
Look forward to that. Is that on the list? I guess
it is on the list. Yes, it's on the list. Okay, good showing.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you all very much. This is the value for value model. It works 10 years on and getting stronger because everyone's getting some kind of value out of the show. And if not, these people go overboard. So people that are left can participate in the value network. And it's a fantastic way to live on the edge as a creator. That's what all the YouTube...
Living on the edge.
Living on the edge as a creator. Yes, indeed.
The creators.
We will have another show for you on Sunday, and we'll be deconstructing everything that happens between this show and that show. Remember us for that at Dvorak.org/NA. As requested.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Kind of a short list today, but we got them. 2 birthdays. Sean Kelly, Circumvent the Law, says happy birthday to the amazing Ingrid Jackson. And we congratulate Aaron Lambert. He will turn 37 years old tomorrow. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. And we have one knighting, so if you could draw your blade for a moment, please.
Remove this thing.
There you go. All right, Luis. I believe it is pronounced Luis. Luis Pastor, come on up. You have participated and supported the best podcasting universe, the amount of $1,000 or more. You did it with layaway plans and monthly donations. We could not be more grateful. Thank you very much, and I'm very proud hereby to pronounce-icate thee as Sir Louis Pastor, or is it Luis? Regardless, for you, we've got Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay, Parliament's Pale Ale, Waifus and Waffles, Bourbon and Bong Rips, Kebab and Persian Wine, Goat Chops and Goat Milk, Polish Potato Vodka, Breast Milk and Pavlin, Ginger Ale and Gerbils, Bong Hits and Bourbon, Geishas and Sake, Rubenesque Women and Rosé, and Mutton and Mead. It's a No Agenda Roundtable staple and a favorite, so head over to noagendanation.com/rings. Eric the Shill will get that out to you as soon as possible.
Title changes, turn and face the slave. Title changes, don't want to be a douchebag.
Title change for Sir Tim of Calgary. Today he shall be changed in all the peerage documentation and maps, itm.im/peerage, as Sir Kilgore Trout of the Dudes Named Ben. Our title change today on the No Agenda Show for this 28th of June, 2018. Thank you all very much. Remember, our next episode will be on Sunday. Go to Dvorak.org/NA.
I have a note from Robert Roberts, and I'm going to have to boil it down, or I'm going to put it in the newsletter. It is the definitive discussion, which I don't know how we got on this discussion. We have Eagle Scouts, we got ham radio operators, and apparently we have a lot of guys who artificially inseminate cows.
Yes.
I have no idea why we have so many.
We do have many agrarian producers. I've noticed this, yes.
Yes, and they know all these things. So he's got a long exposition. I could have read the whole thing, but he says, yeah, it goes in the butt, and he has all these reasons for it. So I'm not going to read that. No, it's too long, but I'll put it. It will be discussed again. I got a note from Joel Nelson. I wanted to read his note just at the beginning of it so we can have a little sense of things. He says, after listening to y'all's podcast for 6 months, I never really thought the United Socialist state of California was as bad as you and the other producers make it out to be. I was wrong. It's like living in another country. Compared to Colorado and Minnesota, signs warning you that other warning signs has chemicals. It's less carcinogenic, known as the First People's Republic of California. I think that California has 3 car types: Prius, exotic, and beaters.
Yes.
It doesn't seem to be much else. Here, a Porsche is more common than an F-150 back in the great frozen north. I am happy to be returning to normalcy and sanity on 7/6. The Commonwealth of California, while probably more beautiful than Colorado, should be avoided. Meal prices are outrageous. Uber and Lyft drivers are suicidal maniacs. Do not leave anything in your car, ever. Strange land, stranger people. Anyway, thank you both for your work on the podcast. I now see the media and politics in a new light. Something that I would like to hear is the economic impact of the tariffs and counter tariffs currently hailing from Minnesota, where they have a yearly contest for Princess K of the Milky Way, complete with a 1,290-pound butterhead. I found the tidbit on the Canadian tariffs on milk very interesting. Well, we don't want to talk about that.
No, but
it's a news deconstruction show. It's not a
right.
It's not a analysis show.
I did learn something about Canadian steel from one of our steel workers. We have steel workers in the audience. Forgot to mention that group.
Oh yeah, we got them too.
The reason why Trump, I don't know if it's imposed now or not. I've kind of lost track. Wanted to put a tax on Canadian steel is because Canadians import a lot of Chinese steel and sell that on to us as Canadian steel. It only has to be, on the shores
There's a toe tap in Canada, and all of a sudden it's Canadian.
Yeah. And so I believe Trudeau, if I understand the reporting correctly, has now put some kind of kibosh on the Chinese steel coming in. It basically folded, which was the whole idea.
Yeah, that was the whole idea.
I didn't
It's a
realize.
bluff. It's a bluffer's game. The guy's playing fast and loose, this Trump guy.
Yes. You sent me a cool video.
Space Force.
Corso's son, the guy who wrote the day after.
Oh yes.
The day
Are we
after
going to the
Roswell.
second half of show? Is you going to play a jingle?
Do you want me to? I mean, I don't have a lot of.
No,
I don't have a lot of crazy stuff. But what I found interesting in the video you sent me, and so Corso wrote the book The Day After Roswell, and he, just a lot of. It's a book well worth reading, recommended by John, who scoffs at these kinds of things, so it's good.
It is good.
And his son was interviewed, and he's reiterating a lot of what his dad said. And it's very interesting to watch about intergalactic work, things that are going on, such as the Lunar Orbital Platform Gateway. You might want to look that one up. That's real. That's $1 billion launch platform we're building in space to launch off into other galaxies, or maybe just to stop Muslims. I don't know, one or the other.
Stop Muslims.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't hear we have a Muslim ban, John? Not a travel ban, a Muslim ban. So, yeah.
That was a travel ban, but okay.
Yeah. No, M5M calls it the Muslim ban, which
I'm glad they
oddly
settled
doesn't
on a term. It must be in the AP style guide.
Oh, I don't think AP does it, but everyone else is like, Muslim ban, even though we didn't ban anyone from Pakistan, so it failed. But in this, he has this whole rap, and I don't have a clip, but I'm saying because maybe other people can help me, because I looked around quite a bit. And I think that's why you sent it to me. Maybe I misunderstood. But he says, oh, yes, the POWs, the missing in action soldiers in North Korea, has something to do with alien visitation and UFOs.
Yeah.
And I looked around.
I found more than a few things in that interview interesting. It wasn't just that. I also found it interesting that he says that his dad regretted writing the book.
Well, he also died of a massive heart attack, 3 weeks after the book came out?
No, he died. No, that's not true. It was, I think, 3 years. I think he lived 3 more years.
Oh, okay.
And he was in his 80s, so I'm not going to.
All right, so they let him go. Okay, good. But when he said that, and just because Trump made such a big deal about the MIAs, Trump is talking about Space Force, and now all of a sudden there's this whopper that somehow the MIAs in North Korea has something to do with aliens, and I found it baffling. I couldn't really find anything that was useful for the show. But who was there? You know who was a big part of the Korean War?
Who?
Don. Uncle Don.
What did he do?
He can't tell anybody.
Oh, well, that's great. Well, maybe it has something to do with aliens.
Well, I'm afraid that if I call him up and I ask him about this, it'll be the last question I ask.
Yeah, you better stay mum.
Yeah. But if anyone else has any ideas, I'm obviously very interested. It is fun to see that with all this gobbledygook and everyone yapping about space wars and the crazy president with the space wars. CNN, Space Force. CNN had a documentary in 2016 that I think you will enjoy watching.
It is also a weapon.
Threats of a potential World War III.
I think it's an inevitability over time.
Unimaginable weapons.
So you could kidnap another satellite?
Essentially. Designed to bring America to its knees.
Our satellites are at risk, and our ground infrastructure is at risk.
Stand by. Data building in Florida. What can the U.S. possibly do to prevent this catastrophe?
This is a CubeSat.
To find out, we go inside and underground.
So this is the global operation.
Space Force. Rare access to the places and the people preparing for war in space. The next battlefield.
Space Force.
Space Force.
Yeah, so I guess in 2016 it was okay and not so kooky. They made a whole documentary about it. It's pretty good, actually. It's like I said, people knocking each other's satellites out of space. But just take into account former NASA astronaut Don Petit I think we may have played this in the past.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. But going to Mars should be one of the next series of steps that humans do. The first step should be going back to the moon for a number of technical reasons and exploration reasons, and then after that, Mars, maybe high orbit in Venus atmosphere, maybe going to Europa. There's all kinds of targets to go to, places of interest in our solar system. The only limit to human future is in our own imaginations.
I wish I had more information on what we destroyed, that we can't go back to the moon anymore.
I wonder about that myself. I mean, there's two. The nutball side of it would say, well, we had some anti-gravity stuff. That's what we could do in the first place.
The aliens gave us technology like the integrated circuit and fiber optics, and then we went to the moon, and then we
there could be an anti-gravity has got to be in there somehow.
Yes.
Now, the one that is like
anti-gravity always has to be in the story.
Always got to be in there.
Yeah.
And the one that seems, although if you really want to be freaky about it, you could say it was interdimensional travel, and I could just jump into a little wormhole and get past the Van Allen belts and show up on the moon. But I'm thinking what they're talking about is the Saturn V rocket. We haven't made a Saturn V rocket for 25 years. That thing, and you just look at compare rockets. Look at the page compare the size of rockets. The Saturn V rocket was the most amazing rocket we ever built. The thing is twice the size of it's like the Empire State Building of rockets. It's huge. It's pretty much a Werner von Braun rocket.
Yes,
and it's just a massive rocket. And I don't even know if they could make one anymore.
Let me see.
They only made about 10 of them.
They made 15, 13 flew. I'm looking at the Book of Knowledge. When was the last time it flew, though?
I think it was in the 70s. I don't think the thing is...
That's it?
A lot of these crazy technologies that appeared magically in the 70s. Boeing 747, which I guess was in the 60s. And a lot of stuff was invented in the 50s. There's a lot of crazy stuff that, I don't think we're in... I don't know.
Well... No, of course we don't know. But we do know that the crazy X-37B space plane is still circling around. That went up kind of silently, the third mission. This is the thing that looks like a miniature space shuttle. You remember that?
Yeah, that thing. Yeah.
They say unmanned, and it's like the size of a SUV. That thing went back up in 2017 and is still doing something, circling around. Not quite sure what it's doing.
I don't know.
But the interesting news to me was that Buzz Aldrin has filed a massive lawsuit against his family for elder exploitation. So they've apparently and he has money, and he has lots of foundations and all kinds of stuff, and they are taking his money. They've cut him off completely. They said, well, you can't think for yourself. So keep your eye on Buzz. I mean, isn't he the guy that beats people up when you say you never landed on the moon?
He's punched a few guys out, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you never landed on the moon. It's bullcrap.
Yeah, boom. Exactly. Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm keeping my eye on Buzz. When he likes to kind of fly off the cuff. And so this is playing out now. Yeah, elder exploration,
like
exploitation. What? Like a what?
Tough cookie.
Tough cookie. Yes.
Yeah, we got a Red Hen in Napa, the Red Hen restaurant. So let's play this little clip here. It says the problems they're having because the name of the restaurant is Red Hen, of course, where they threw Sarah Sanders out.
A restaurant in Napa is getting some unwanted attention because it has the same name as a restaurant in Virginia that refused to serve White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders.
As KTVU's Rob Roth reports, the owner of the Napa restaurant says his business now has taken a hit.
The Redhead Bar and Grill has been a fixture in North Napa for the past 35 years, but the owner says it now appears to be a victim of mistaken identity.
I was stunned.
Many angry people appear to be confusing this Red Hen, a cantina, with another Red Hen, the one in Virginia. That's the restaurant that refused to serve White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders last Friday because of the administration's policy to separate immigrant families.
Well, I just thought the restaurant owners were extremely rude, and I could hardly believe they did that. For political reasons, they're not letting someone dine in their restaurant.
But within hours, the Napa restaurant started getting hate messages clearly meant for the other Red Hen. The general manager read us a sample.
I pray your restaurant goes into the toilet. We're sick of scum like you. Don't mess with President Trump supporters, idiots. And it wasn't us.
My employees, were getting stressed out because of all the phone calls.
The owner says business dropped by about a third this past weekend. More than 400 negative Yelp reviews came in.
They go from 4 or 5 stars down to 1 star.
Yelp says it will remove reviews that aren't based on consumer experiences. This stepfather and daughter heard about what happened and came in for lunch to show support.
I'm not going to say that the incident itself with kicking Sarah out of a restaurant because of their political ideas was necessarily justified, but the reaction and how people have been responding to it is not okay.
There's the new meme is Maca instead of MAGA. Maca. Make America civil again.
The public at large is so dumb. I mean, it's both sides too. That they would think that this restaurant's the same as the other restaurant. It's just like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
No agenda listeners wouldn't be making these calls or going on Yelp. I have one last clip I want to play.
Yelp.
Yelp. Now, before the Supreme Court shut down, they did have this one union. They busted the unions by saying that.
Yeah, can you explain this?
Yeah, I want to explain. I want to talk about it because it's never been fully analyzed. I can tell why it happened, and I've never heard the explanation.
Well, you roll it out how you want, but I think this is very valuable because almost no one, certainly no one who's in a union, understands what's going on.
Well, I can explain some of it. But let's play the clip first, and then I can talk about it. Union dues, Cal, and I have a Cal alumni story which matches it.
The U.S. Supreme Court delivered a huge setback to organized labor today. In a 5-4 vote, the court ruled that government workers who choose not to join unions should not be forced to pay dues. The court said that forcing employees to pay for collective bargaining was a violation of the non-paying workers' free speech rights. The decision means unions could lose tens of millions of dollars and also lose considerable bargaining power. The plaintiff in this case said he was thrilled by the ruling.
The important thing is that we've now got 5 million public sector workers across the country that are free to make their own decision. And that's what this whole fight has been about.
That's Mark Janis, an Illinois state worker who refused to pay dues and then sued his union, arguing he shouldn't be forced to pay fees because he disagreed with the union's positions.
That was the key right there. And what people did, no one wants to say this, but if you're a Republican and you're a member of AFSCME or SEIU or any of these public service, public sector unions, they give money to the Democrat Party. That's what this was about.
Right. In fact,
I'm giving you dues so you can give the money to Obama.
In fact, I think many of the bigger unions claim some credit for getting Obama into office.
Yeah. And so if you have the option of not joining the union, because in other words, you're stealing my money to give to the Democrat Party. You're not using it for union purposes. Right. The best unions I've ever been a member of have only used their money for union purposes. They had set up an office or they did work for the employees. They didn't just get a big pile of money and then give it to the Democrats. For political reasons, which brings me to my Cal alumni story. I feel the same way about universities. If you're an alumnus of any of the big universities, they call you up all the time asking for money, because they need this endowment. They want to just stockpiling the money or putting it in a slush fund like Janet Napolitano, head of the University of California. No,
man, they're funding gender studies from your cash, John.
Well, they're doing that too. But here's the thing that I noticed is that, and I would get called 2 or 3 times a year consistently. And then I saw on one of their reports, that wasn't their report, it was Open Public, it was one of the websites that shows who's donating who to who, what to who. And University of California donated $1 million to the Obama campaign in 2016, whenever it was. 2012. So they did $1 million to the Obama campaign. And so they called me up asking for money. And I said, what do you want my money for? All you're going to do is give it to the Obama campaign. I'm not donating money to the university so you can give it to a political party for whatever reason. And you're not like handing it out to all the parties. You're just giving it straight to Obama. I'm not going to give you any money if you're going to I'm not going to give you any money. That's what I said. I didn't say we're going to keep doing that or anything. And they said, oh, yes, we understand. And they hung up, and I've never been called again. Since 2012.
Oh,
they
really?
have never called me again. So obviously what I said.
You got a verified check mark is what you got.
They got a check mark and said, don't bother calling him because we can still give our money to Obama, but he'll bitch about it if we do. So don't call him.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that. It's my money. If I wanted to give it to Jill Stein or somebody, it's my business. I don't have any. If I want to give it to Obama, I'll give it to Obama. I don't want them to ask for money so they can run the university and then just give the money to Obama. It's ridiculous.
That's kind of the same. Like I've supported the ACLU for decades. I always liked it. A bunch of lawyers trying to do good stuff, and I was so happy I stopped that support when I saw these signs. ACLU. Stop the Muslim ban. These were professional ACLU signs. These are lawyers who know that this is not a Muslim ban. You know, it's like, I'm not going to give my money to that. Liars. Anyway, not the same as a union. I'm still SAG-AFTRA. Are you SAG-AFTRA?
No.
Yeah, I have some. They sent me like my retirement papers. I think I have $11.37 for my retirement.
Yeah, you don't have enough there. Are you getting the DVD? Are you getting movies and stuff? Are you getting links to the movies?
No. I'm pretty much.
You got to be a member of one of the better operations, the Motion Picture Guild or something. One of these guys, or Directors Guild, Guild, yeah. Producers Guild. They get movies.
I could do that, but they're probably all going to look me up and go, "Guy's a podcaster. Don't send him any shit." No, it's just a scam. It's like a Yelp reviewer.
Do you think they actually check? I think they just send them out. They're too lazy to check nowadays.
Maybe. Anyway, that is our show for today, everybody. And a healthy tip from Adam and John. Roe v. Wade will not be overturned. Don't get all freaked out about it. Whatever side of that argument you're on, it's not going to happen. Do not believe that hype because you're about to be splattered with this message. So that should keep you sane until Sunday if you don't turn on the TV. I'm just talking about your colleagues and your friends and your family. So be sane. And coming to you from downtown Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State, FEMA Region 6, and all the governmental maps and the Googles, in the 509 Cludio and the Common Law Condo. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Sunday with another episode of your best podcasting universe. Remember us until then at Dvorak.org/NA. And until then, adios, mofos. I need a cab.
Yeah, I already called for it. Here it comes.
Donate to a No Agenda. They give us shows week after week. Donate to a No Agenda. It's a show that's really unique. Donate to a No Agenda. Listen to John and Adam speak. Donate to a No Agenda. Science is turning into a clique.
I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall.
To the USA from Mexico, ignoring all your laws, will drive without insurance on welfare. welfare rewards. I am relying. America, I am coming. Senoritas, a pretty lady. Next thing you know, she's got a good baby. Build the wall. Build the wall. I come to your home with no green card, cause the border patrol needs a national guard. With traitors like Moonbeam, we'll stay here lying low. We come in droves to your Home Depot. Good luck making us pay so. Wrong. Apartments teeming with dozens more. Then fire code allows an entire floor.
The wall just got 10 feet taller.
Progressives, we're your cause. We'll fly our flag in your land. Vote for liberals who will hide me in sanctuary cities. Hope and change means no deporting, and now stuck with kids at MS-13.
We have some bad hombres here, and we're going to get them out.
No taxes for our jobs. The money we're accruing. Instead of ATMs, we send it home with Western Union.
I would build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better.
Where are the babies?
What should it tell people like Nancy Pelosi? Should they be afraid? The beauty is in the mix.
Where are their parents?
Well, I'm female, I'm progressive, I'm and the rest of what's your problem? 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Stand up. Make your voice heard.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant,
Explain why you think they're wrong. Why you're right. We still don't know. Where are the babies?
We have an array of genders, generations, geography.
We still don't know.
Thank you all very much.
Tortillas, they're given frozen sandwiches that still have ice in them. Is that the kind of environment you would want your kid to be in?
We don't need no immigration. We don't need no border patrol. No peanut butter enchilada. Donald, leave the kids alone.
hey, Donald, leave the kids alone.
All in all, it's all for funding your wall. All in all, it's all for funding the wall.
Kirsten Nielsen will want you to think that we are ruining your dinner. She is the secretary of DHS. ICE rips children apart from their families every day. They lock them up in cages. They sleep under those silver blankets you guys get at marathons. These kids will never be reunited with their parents because Kirsten Nielsen's staff doesn't think it's necessary to make a plan to reunite
was a very interesting comment, I thought. That the idea of giving these children tortillas with peanut butter and some of them were out of the fridge, they still had ice on them, is just despicable to this woman. It's just the whole idea. Meanwhile, I don't know if she has kids, but she's probably feeding them mac and cheese.
If they see any weakness, they will come by the millions. They will come by the million. If they see any weakness,
zero tolerance for criminal aliens. Zero. When Mexico sends these people, they're not sending their best. I will build drugs. They're bringing crime on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall.
The best podcast in the universe.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Does he still have a flip phone?